Chapter 2609. Trading Team. Elder Chun was the middle-aged man from before. Although Lin Ling's cultivation was slow and caused many elders to oppose Lin Ling, Elder Chun still valued Lin Ling. He believed that Lin Ling was a well-prepared genius. If he had the opportunity, he would definitely become a talent. Lin Ling was grateful for this. However, Elder Chun was right. When the time came, Lin Ling would not only become a talent, but he would also dominate this fragment of the flame world. After that, Lin Ling and Yang Xiaotian left and arrived at the mountain gate. There were already many disciples waiting there, whispering to each other. One had to know that the Meiyu sect was also a big sect in the flame world. Together with the Taichu sect and the Yen Emperor sect, they were known as the three great martial worlds. The Yen Emperor sect was backed by the fire treasure soil. This divine fire soil could increase the talent of fire-type martial artists. The Meiyu sect was in charge of the flame crystals. Hence, for the sake of cultivation, they would trade with each other. Every time they traded, it would be a great honor for the disciples who were sent out. Hence, these disciples were very excited, as if their strength had been recognized. The person leading the team this time was said to be the daughter of the sect master, Yen Yu. She had inherited the sect master's legacy and was the #1 genius of the Yen Emperor sect. While waiting for Yen Yu, the disciples were also talking about how beautiful and powerful the senior sister was. Oh, this is the Lin Ling that Elder Chun recommended. Someone suddenly looked at Lin Ling. One had to know that the disciples of the Yen Emperor sect were divided into ranks. The lowest rank was the mountain guarding disciple, followed by the outer mountain disciple and inner mountain disciple. Lin Ling was an inner mountain disciple. This kind of disciple didn't have to do anything. Many people were jealous. However, when Lin Ling first entered the Yen Emperor sect, he was indeed a little powerful. However, after that, he was only a flash in the pan. Hence, many people were unhappy with him. "Greetings, senior brother." Lin Ling smiled. "This is how you greet your senior brother? Do you have any luggage?" Who would have thought that the senior brother would shout coldly and send a heavy slap toward him? Because, although Lin Ling called him senior brother, he didn't seem to treat him as a senior brother. Seeing this, Lin Ling frowned slightly. This guy was too arrogant. Then, when he saw the slap coming, Lin Ling did not do anything. He stretched out one hand and easily received the slap. "You're courting death." The senior brother felt humiliated. Flames immediately rose from his arm, wanting to burn Lin Ling's hand. But at this moment, a cold shout suddenly sounded, "Stop!" Subsequently, a few figures walked over. The woman in the lead was not tall, but she had an exquisite figure. Her hair was tied up in a ponytail, and she looked valiant and formidable. After she arrived, a powerful aura spread out. Seeing this, the senior brother's expression changed, and he hurriedly retracted the flames. However, Lin Ling was still holding his arm. "You stop as well. If it weren't for me, you would have been burned by his flames." The ponytailed woman frowned again and looked sternly at Lin Ling. Because when the senior brother saw that she had arrived, he immediately retracted his arrogance. However, Lin Ling did not stop. He did not know how to appreciate favors. The true path of fire is not enough to activate flames. Only those who have comprehended the path of fire can truly display the power of the path of fire. Lin Ling said calmly. Because, although the senior brother's talent was not bad, he did not have the ultimate path of fire. He was also someone who had talent, but could not use it. Therefore, his flames could not burn Lin Ling's god-demon body at all. However, Lin Ling was speaking the truth. When his words fell into the ears of the people around him, they immediately gasped. Because Lin Ling had actually spoken to the eldest senior sister in such a tone. Most importantly, Lin Ling was someone who only had brute force but no spiritual energy. He was dead meat. This trash was dead meat. That was what all the disciples were thinking. However, the woman only glanced at Lin Ling indifferently, then waved her hand domineeringly. "Be on your way." She did not make things difficult for Lin Ling. Perhaps it was because Lin Ling was too weak, or perhaps it was because she was the eldest senior sister. In any case, she did not blame Lin Ling. This time, the surrounding disciples' jaws dropped. Of course, they could also see that the eldest senior sister was a little angry, and the fuse was Lin Ling. "Lin Ling, she is the sect leader's daughter, Yen Yu. Hurry." At this time, Yang Xiaotian hurried over and reminded him with a pale face. Lin Ling could not help but be stunned. He did not care before because he did not know the other party's identity. Why aren't you letting go of my hand? Hurry. As for the senior brother who had attacked, he was furious. Lin Ling was still holding his hand while he was in a daze. Most importantly, he could not break free. Sorry. Lin Ling replied lazily. With a wave of his hand, the senior brother staggered back, embarrassed even more. And Lin Ling's apology didn't seem to be sincere. What are you all doing? If the time is delayed, you can bear the consequences. At this time, Yen Yu's voice was heard again. She seemed even more dissatisfied. Yes, eldest senior sister. Yes. None of the disciples dared to be negligent, but their hatred for Lin Ling grew. Lin Ling did not know what was good for him and caused the eldest senior sister to be angry, but she vented her anger on everyone. They were obviously implicated by Lin Ling. Along the way, none of the disciples looked at Lin Ling kindly. Even Yen Yu was the same. Although she was the sect leader's daughter, she was not unruly and did things methodically. That was why she did not blame Lin Ling. Regarding this, Lin Ling was completely speechless. He had been cultivating in the Yen Emperor sect for 3 reasons. First, he was waiting for a breakthrough. Second, he wanted to see the secrets of the Yen Emperor sect. Third, he wanted to find a way out. He did not intend to provoke anyone, but who knew that things would change. Not only had he angered the disciples, but he had also angered the sect leader's daughter. Lin Ling, eldest senior sister, is very dissatisfied with you. Even Yang Xiaotian could see the atmosphere. I know. Lin Ling was even more depressed. He hoped that nothing bad would happen. However, his depressed look made Yang Xiaotian speechless. She saw that Lin Ling did not seem to be anxious at all. Instead, he looked indifferent. This flame world is full of fire-based martial artists, but their talents are not weak. Lin Ling thought to himself as he followed the crowd. There were many people in the Yen Emperor sect who were more talented than him. They had awakened divine bodies above 5th grade. However, in terms of martial arts experience and knowledge, they were far inferior. Wait, are we going this way? After walking for a day, vast mountains appeared in front of them. The temperature had also quietly increased. At this time, a voice came from the group. It was Lin Ling's voice. Just follow obediently. What are you talking about? The disciples immediately reprimanded him. However, Lin Ling ignored them and continued to look at Yen Yafan. Although Yen Yu was dissatisfied with Lin Ling, she still had the demeanor of an eldest senior sister. She said indifferently, "This is the closest path to the Meiyu sect. The sooner we complete the mission, the better we can go back. There seems to be something wrong with this path." However, Lin Ling still spoke. Chapter 2610. The Mysterious Black-Robed Man. Something's wrong. Yen Yu couldn't help but laugh. Do you know how many times our Flame Emperor sect has traded with Meiyu sect? If you can answer, then I'll do as you say. Hearing this, Lin Ling was stunned. He really didn't know. Newbie, our Flame Emperor sect has traded with Meiyu sect hundreds of times. Don't pretend to know. Stop being so mysterious. Even if something happens, just run away obediently. We'll protect you. The other disciples immediately mocked him. The 2 sects had traded with each other hundreds of times. This meant that the Flame Emperor sect had walked this path hundreds of times and had always been safe. Therefore, no one would believe Lin Ling's words. They all thought that Lin Ling was talking nonsense. Let's go. Yen Yu was even more so. Everyone walked along the canyon, talking and laughing. But at the back of the group, Lin Ling frowned. This was because his soul force sensed several powerful auras shooting towards them from the front. These people were very fast, and their strength was around the 5th level of the World King realm. They weren't people that the group could resist. Of course, if they were friends, then it wouldn't be a problem. But if they were enemies, then it would be troublesome. Yen Yu was indeed the eldest senior sister. In just a moment, she also sensed that something was wrong and immediately ordered the group to stop. Almost at the same time, a huge net of fire appeared in the sky above the canyon, sealing the canyon tightly. Several figures wearing black robes walked over step by step. Their eyes were filled with ominous glints. Who are you? Yen Yu couldn't help but be surprised. This was the first time she had encountered such a situation. However, those people didn't say much. They took a step forward and shot over. A huge amount of world essence accompanied by flames shot out. This kind of attack would directly take a person's life. Yen Yu's expression instantly changed. The disciples behind her also narrowed their eyes. Previously, Lin Ling had said that there was something wrong with this path. At that time, they thought that this was a path that they often walked, so they didn't think that anything would happen. In the end, something did happen. They thought that Lin Ling was talking nonsense, but Lin Ling's fart became reality. Bang! The mysterious black-robed men were merciless. Fire snakes shot out from their palms, wrapping around the Yen Emperor sect's disciples. They groaned in pain and fell to the ground, unconscious. A fifth-stage world king is not someone we can contend with. Leave the canyon immediately. Yen Yiyu immediately let out a delicate shout when she sensed how terrifying the newcomer was. Her entire body also blossomed with blue flames, which was extremely extraordinary. Retreat. Those disciples who were chatting and laughing earlier, at this moment, wished they could grow another pair of legs and leave this place. But even so, a few of them died one after another. The most ironic thing was that before they came, they had vowed that if anything happened, they would protect him. But now, they were running away faster than anyone else. Exterminate them all. Seeing the disciples trying to escape, those mysterious black-robed figures became even more ruthless. Boom. Boom. Within the canyon, explosions continued to ring out. Flames surged into the sky, turning the canyon into a volcano. However, Yen Yiyu had blocked a large number of experts. This allowed many disciples to escape from the canyon. Moreover, they did not even look back. They immediately ran towards the Yen Emperor sect. Eldest senior sister had been abandoned by them at this moment. Yang Xiaotian and the remaining disciples did not escape because the fire net in the sky had already enveloped them, sealing off their escape route. Previously, a few disciples had tried to rush out of the fire net, but in the end, they were cut into pieces and died miserably. With their escape route sealed, it was obvious that they would not be able to escape. Of course, Yen Yiyu was in the most danger because she had blocked the most of the mysterious black-robed men. Her talent was not weak, but unfortunately, her cultivation level was too low. It was only a matter of time before she was defeated. Plum Moon Flaming Flames. Yen Yiyu let out a cry of surprise after exchanging a palm strike with an expert. You guessed right. The other party was an old man. His face was cold as he nodded. You are from the Plum Moon sect? Yen Yiyu seemed to have guessed something. There's no harm in telling you. We are indeed from the Plum Moon sect. I know that you want to tell the Yen Emperor sect, but unfortunately, only death awaits you. The other party nodded. The 6 of them surrounded Yen Yiyu. White flames formed circles and enveloped her. At this moment, Yen Yiyu was unable to escape. Moreover, she had suffered serious injuries from the repeated blows. She fell to the ground. Of course, what surprised her the most was that the Plum Moon sect dared to attack the Yen Emperor sect. At this moment, there were 10,000 questions in her heart. Go to hell. Unfortunately, the cold and emotionless voice had already arrived. A flaming palm with white flames was about to kill her. I hate it. The Plum Moon sect violated the agreement and attacked first. I hate that I can't tell my father. Yen Yiyu already knew her fate. She closed her eyes, unwilling to accept it. However, just as she thought that she was going to die, the sound of bones breaking could be heard. Then, a stream of hot blood spilled on her face. This blood was very hot, but she was sure that it was not her blood. Puzzled, she couldn't help but open her eyes. However, the scene in front of her left her dumbfounded. He saw a young man standing in front of him. He was still in a punching posture, but his fist had directly penetrated the chest of a mysterious black-robed man. Moreover, the mysterious black-robed man who died with his eyes wide open had his right arm severed. It seemed to have been broken by a single punch. This meant that if that arm had not been broken, the previous attack would have hit Yen Yiyu and she would have died. What happened? Yen Yiyu sat there in shock. She also realized that this young man, who was like a heavenly soldier, was actually Lin Ling. She never thought that this disciple, who had shocked the entire Yen Emperor sect when he first entered, and who was later thought to be Elder Chen's mistake, would be so terrifying. Brat, you killed the elder? At this moment, an angry roar could be heard. The remaining mysterious men in black regained their senses and pounced on Lin Ling. They were also furious. Because of a simple mission, they had caused the death of an elder. How were they going to report when they returned? One by one, they unleashed the Meiyu sect's sect-guarding martial arts. Moonfire shot out, causing the entire canyon to tremble. Be careful. Yen Yiyu could not help but scream. She knew very well that this was the Meiyu sect's secret martial art, which was also the martial art that made them famous. Lin Ling, run. On the other side, Yang Xiaotian also discovered Lin Ling in the flame circle. She was shocked and then anxiously shouted, "Go back!" However, in the face of such a terrifying secret martial art, Lin Ling stood still. His godly devil body exploded with a powerful aura. He did not use any martial arts, but his fist was like a meteor as it blasted out. On one side was the fist of a mortal, and on the other side was a flame attack. At this moment, the distance between them was rapidly closing. Chapter 26:11. Annihilation. Boom. The fists collided with the terrifying flames and sparks flew everywhere. Then a figure staggered out from the colorful flames. He took more than 10 steps back before he finally stabilized himself. He looked extremely pathetic. And he was Lin Ling. Facing the combined attack of so many people, he would definitely be unable to resist. After all, he was only relying on his godly demon body to fight. However, when the crowd saw this scene, they felt as if they had been struck by lightning. This was because they guessed that under the combined attack, the young man would be directly smashed into pieces, and not even his bones would be left. But now, the young man was only retreating. This was too terrifying. Even Yan Yiyu covered her mouth with her jade-like hand. Her eyes were wide open. The Meiyu sect's ultimate technique was broken just like that? Whoosh! At this moment, Lin Ling flung the flames on his fists away. He licked his lips and said, "When a tiger goes down to the plains, he will be bullied by dogs. When a dragon is trapped in the shallows, fish and shrimps will play. You guys worked together before, now it's my turn." His voice was calm, but when it landed in the hearts of the mysterious black-robed men, it was like a demon's smile. At this moment, their bodies actually trembled. However, Lin Ling did not care so much. He had already shot forward. If not for the fact that he was about to break through to the next realm, these guys could be killed with just a finger. But now, that was all they could do. Rumble. The terrifying fist didn't release any spiritual energy, but it blasted through the air, smashing over with devastating force. Bang! One of them was still in shock, but the fist directly pierced through his chest. Seeing this, the remaining black-robed men were shocked. What happened? He did not even release a wisp of flame, and did not release any spiritual energy. How is he so strong? Who is he? The black-robed men were all terrified. This was because in the flame world, the fire element was the only martial art. It was also the most powerful technique in the world. But now, a mysterious young man had used his fists to kill 2 powerhouses consecutively. This broke their understanding. Bang! Almost at the same time, Lin Ling attacked again. Plum Moon Wheel. His opponent was the last remaining elder. He let out a roar, and the flames in his hands turned into a round wheel that he slapped out. His talent was not weak either. He had a rank 8 awakened divine body. If he was in the Resplendent Academy, even Lin Ling would have to treat him seriously. Yet in the Flame World fragment, this elder's talent was not bad, but he did not have the ultimate fire path. Boom! A fist rushed out of the circular fire wheel, and the fire wheel immediately exploded. Moreover, the fist easily penetrated the elder's chest. Elder Mei. The others were originally happy, thinking that there would be a miracle. However, the result made them feel like their hearts were dead. They no longer had any will to fight, and under their shocked gazes, Lin Ling had actually absorbed all of the flames that the elder had released. Monster! Even Yan Yiyu let out a frightened cry. In her heart, that young man was simply not human. Run! The remaining black-robed men didn't care about anything else. With a loud roar, they quickly withdrew from the canyon. They never thought that the canyon would be a good place to ambush someone. However, they were the ones who were ambushed. It's too late to escape now. Unfortunately, Lin Ling was not a greenhorn. Naturally, he knew that he had to eliminate the source of the problem. He took a step, and the ground shook as if a demon god had descended. Lin Ling caught up to a black-robed man and grabbed his head. With a bang, his head exploded and blood splattered everywhere. He was as fragile as a watermelon. Lin Ling threw away the corpse in his hand, sneered, and caught up to another person. Bang! With a sweep of his leg, the second person who was running away was kicked in the waist. He died extremely miserably. Seeing this, Yang Xiaotian and the rest turned pale. This scene was bloody and cruel to them. However, to Lin Ling, this was a common occurrence. He had already killed countless people since he started practicing martial arts. There was no psychological pressure at all. This was because if he had been merciful, he would have died countless times already. In just a short time, the black-robed men were completely annihilated. The canyon was filled with the smell of blood. Yan Yeyu and the rest could only stare at Lin Ling. There was only one sentence in their hearts. A white rainbow piercing the sun, an eagle striking the sky. Lin Ling took out a piece of cloth and wiped the blood off his hands. He was a little depressed. If it were not for the fact that his strength had not recovered, he would not have used such a crude method. He would have ended these guys easily with a sword or a flame. "All right, what are you all looking at me for?" Finally, Lin Ling spoke. The people in the canyon subconsciously felt their hearts skip a beat and their faces turned pale. Seeing this, Lin Ling shook his head helplessly. "You are also martial artists. If you are not used to such a bloody scene, you will be killed by others in the future." We know," Yang Xiaotian replied immediately. However, knowing was one thing. Whether they could do it was another, because only martial artists who had experienced blood and killing could get used to such a scene. "Who are you? Why are you so powerful? What is your motive for entering our Yan Emperor sect?" Yan Yeyu asked as she stared at Lin Ling after recovering from her shock. Lin Ling also looked at her and shook his head. "Who I am is not important. What is important is that something big is going to happen in your Yan Emperor sect." His eyes were very calm, which made Yan Yeyu's heart tremble. His eyes were deep and calm, giving her the feeling that even if the sky fell, he would not be moved. This was a man with a story. Then she thought of Lin Ling's words and said in shock, "Don't talk nonsense." "He, sect leader's daughter, you know in your heart whether I am talking nonsense or not. You just don't want to admit it." Lin Ling sneered. "In the flame world, the three great sects dominate everything. It has always been peaceful. But today, the Meiyu sect attacked the Yan Emperor sect. Are they fools? You might say that this was an accident, but I can tell you that your father and the other two sect leaders came from another world. They were just trapped here. Although they lived in peace at the beginning, after knowing that they would never be able to leave, they will definitely have different thoughts. For example, they will get rid of the other people and dominate this world." Through everything he knew, Lin Ling already had a guess in his heart. Then what should we do? Yan Yeyu was also naturally intelligent, so she guessed what was going on. "Very simple. I will help you solve this problem. As a reward, you will bring me to the most secret place in the Yan Emperor sect." Lin Ling said, "Why should I believe you?" Yan Yeyu immediately looked at Lin Ling and realized that Lin Ling was also a person with evil intentions. "You have no choice." Chapter 26:12. The Yan Emperor sect has betrayed us. If you don't lie to me, I'll agree. But if you lie to me, I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. She really had no choice. Moreover, she was worried about her father and the Yan Emperor sect. In fact, she didn't know if her father was from the Flame World, but she was born in the Flame World. She had strong feelings for this place. "You're not qualified for me to lie to you." In the distance, Lin Ling smiled faintly and walked back slowly. On the other hand, Lin Ling's footsteps were calm and composed, as if he was the most powerful being in the world. Yang Xiaotian and the others felt like they were in a dream. They thought that Lin Ling was a very ordinary person. The group immediately went back to the Yan Emperor sect. Along the way, although Yan Yeyu was cooperating with Lin Ling, he was still afraid of Lin Ling. Lin Ling was speechless. If he really wanted to harm Yan Yeyu, he could have done it directly. Why would he go through so much trouble? "Who are you?" Yan Yeyu couldn't help but ask. Even Yang Xiaotian was curious about Lin Ling. A passerby, or rather, a person who is rushing home. Lin Ling looked into the distance and said meaningfully, "A passerby." Yan Yeyu muttered to himself. However, Yang Xiaotian suddenly believed in Lin Ling. She remembered the first time she saw Lin Ling. At that time, Lin Ling was unconscious beside the furious Tiger River. Lin Ling seemed to be a lost passerby who was rushing home. "Senior sister, I believe he won't harm us," Yang Xiaotian said to Yan Yeyu. Yan Yeyu shook his head and didn't say anything. Along the way, they were shocked to find that many Yan Emperor sect disciples were fighting with each other. This made Yan Yeyu even more surprised. However, Lin Ling sneered. The more chaotic the Yan Emperor sect was, the better it was for him. What kind of secret is the Yan Emperor sect hiding? How could it cause such chaos? Lin Ling asked. Hearing this, Yan Yiyu was silent at the start, but she knew she had to rely on Lin Ling, so she spoke. The flame wheel is said to be the core of Flame World. That is a mysterious place. It is said that even my father could not see through the secrets of the flame wheel. However, as long as one is near the flame wheel, one's cultivation will be twice the result with half the effort. Looks like this is the reason why the other two sects are eyeing us covetously. Lin Ling somewhat understood. In the past, the three great sects did not interfere with each other, but that was only on the surface. The Yen Emperor sect possessed the greatest secret of the flame world, and the other two great sects had long been eyeing it. However, the Yen Emperor sect's sect leader was the strongest, and they did not dare to act rashly. And now, they seemed to have found an opportunity. This was because Lin Ling had been cultivating in the Yen Emperor sect for a period of time. He knew that the sect leader had been cultivating in seclusion. This was undoubtedly a good opportunity to take advantage of the sect leader's seclusion. There are external enemies and internal strife in the Yen Emperor sect. Looks like this plan has been prepared for a long time. Lin Ling said as he looked into the distance as the Yen Emperor sect got closer and closer. There, flames soared into the sky as if the clouds were on fire. From time to time, earth-shattering roars could be heard. What should we do? What should we do? Yan Yiyu had never encountered such a situation before. At this moment, she was even more panicked. That's why it's not good to be in an environment that is too comfortable sometimes. Seeing this, Lin Ling shook his head. There would never be a comfortable environment in the Resplendent Academy. Even if you were already very strong, your junior brothers would still secretly want to surpass you, or even step on your head. The Yen Emperor sect did not have such an intense competitive atmosphere. Indeed, it was much worse. This caused the cultivators here to be slow to react to sudden events. Don't gloat. Lin Ling's tone was as if this matter did not concern him, which made Yan Yiyu very unhappy. Hee, putting on airs as the eldest senior sister? It's useless to be arrogant in front of me. It won't change anything. Seeing this, Lin Ling sneered. His words were very harsh, causing Yan Yiyu to grit her teeth. Even Yang Xiaotian felt that Lin Ling was a little too much. What they didn't know was that Lin Ling was just using this opportunity to let them grow up. You're not convinced? Fine, then tell me, who is the one who led this internal strife in the Yen Emperor sect? Lin Ling suddenly asked. Yan Yiyu's eyes narrowed. She could not answer. So, you're just a little girl in front of me. You're really not convinced? Now think about it, other than your father and you, who is the greatest authority in the Yen Emperor sect? Lin Ling asked. Could it be senior brother? Senior brother? Yan Yiyu's eyes lit up. Her senior brother was the first disciple her father had recruited in the flame world. Unfortunately, his talent was average and could not be considered a genius. However, her father cherished old friendships and had always focused on nurturing him. This caused her senior brother to have a lot of authority in the Yen Emperor sect. But why did he betray the Yen Emperor sect? I treated him like an elder brother. Yan Yiyu could not understand. You're the #1 genius in the Yen Emperor sect, and also the eldest senior sister. All the disciples worship you, but they only respect him, not worship him. This means that he relied on his status and not his strength. It's a disgrace for a man to be inferior to a woman. Over time, in order to become stronger, he would definitely do something to betray her. Lin Ling muttered. He had heard a little about the eldest senior brother. Hearing this, Yan Yiyu's face turned pale. She could not accept this fact. Seeing this, Lin Ling did not say anything and continued to lead the group forward. Who is it? Yes. After an unknown period of time, an angry shout came from the front. It's me, Yan Yiyu. Yes. Yan Yiyu immediately replied. However, the other side was silent, as if they were surprised. Then a voice sounded, Eldest senior sister, aren't you going to trade? If the trade is not completed, you can't return to the Yen Emperor sect. Yes. Soon, more than 10 figures came from afar. There were 3 elders leading more than 10 disciples of the Yen Emperor sect. These people are obviously not your father's men. You should know what to do. Yes. Seeing this, Lin Ling said coldly. Those people wanted to chase Yan Yiyu away because they did not want her to ruin their business. Yan Yiyu also understood the meaning behind this, but she still frowned and said, Elder Wu, Elder Lu, I want to return to the Yen Emperor sect. Get out of my way immediately. Moreover, I can pretend that this never happened. Yes. What are you talking about? Yes. Among the crowd in front, an elder walked over. I already know that the Yen Emperor sect has betrayed us. Now, I want to return immediately. Don't stop me, Yen Yu said again. However, just as she finished speaking, the elder who was frowning a moment ago had a fierce look in his eyes. He took a step forward and grabbed Yen Yu with his big hand. Obviously, he wanted to take advantage of Yen Yu's carelessness to catch her instantly. Yen Yu did not expect that the other party would suddenly make a move. She had wanted to persuade these people to change their minds. Unfortunately, she seemed to have underestimated the human heart. We know that something has happened. Moreover, we are the ones who caused it. Eldest Miss, please excuse us. The elder sneered. However, just as his big hand was about to grab Yen Yu, a slap suddenly came over like a violent storm. Bang! Chapter 26:13. Run forward, don't look back. The people in the distance were stunned. Only then did they realize it was a handsome young man. I'm sorry, I'm not interested in your sect's internal strife. However, I have reached an agreement with your sect leader's daughter. Therefore, I have to help her. Lin Ling smiled faintly. He's Lin Ling, who was recommended by Elder Chen. Is he that powerful? The people in the distance were still in a daze, especially the two remaining elders. They felt like they were dreaming, because in their hearts, Lin Ling was just a disciple. Moreover, this disciple gave them the impression that he was lazy, aloof, and unambitious. Because of this, they didn't care much about this disciple. However, this lazy disciple had killed an elder. Next, I'm sorry, because you two elders are going to die. While they were still in shock, Lin Ling smiled. Accompanied by that cold smile, Lin Ling attacked. His god-demon body erupted. His fists were like meteors, and he was like a war giant. You dare to kill your master? The two elders exclaimed. Master? You're not as strong as me. Are you qualified to be my master? Moreover, a person who betrayed his own sect doesn't seem to be qualified to say that. Lin Ling's cold voice drifted over. In 2 punches, the chests of the 2 elders were penetrated. Lin Ling shook off the blood on his arm and looked at Yen Yu indifferently. I'll leave the rest to you. Me. Yen Yu opened her mouth wide. She knew that these people had betrayed the Yen Emperor sect. However, the naive her still thought that they would change their minds. Now, she wanted to kill her own people? Didn't the previous incident make you smarter? Lin Ling asked again. Hearing this, Yen Yu's eyes finally turned cold. The elder had suddenly attacked her, and this had taught her a lesson. Kill. Yen Yu's eyes flashed coldly. The remaining people were all disciples. Naturally, they weren't her match. Eldest senior sister, spare us. We were forced to do this. Those junior brothers all shouted in fear, causing Yen Yu to almost go easy on them. If you want to take over the Yen Emperor sect for your father, there are some things that you have to face. If you want to be a good person, then you shouldn't practice martial arts. You should find someone to marry. That's the way out. However, Lin Ling's indifferent voice also floated over. Boom. Boom. In the end, Yen Yu killed those disciples. He lifted his head and looked at Lin Ling, thank you. At first, she thought that Lin Ling was a demon, but she gradually understood that Lin Ling used this matter to make her grow up. He made her understand clearly that if she wanted to protect everything, her hands had to be stained with blood. Although this was difficult to accept, if she wanted to be independent, she had to bear all of this. You might not be used to it at first, but you'll get used to it slowly. Remember, if you become weak, what can those who rely on you do? Lin Ling shook his head and walked slowly towards the Yen Emperor sect's mountain gate. Looking at Lin Ling's back, Yen Yu's eyes flickered. That lonely back gave her the feeling that he had walked out from a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. What kind of man is this? At this moment, Yen Yu worshipped Lin Ling even more. Behind her, Yang Xiaotian and the rest were stunned. However, they seemed to have grown up quietly. At this moment, on the stairs leading to the Yen Emperor sect, there were corpses everywhere. Moreover, there were flames burning on the ground. Damn it, that's Elder Fu. He spent his whole life working hard for the Yen Emperor sect. He's dead. Grandma Hu, it's me, Xiaotian. Answer me. Junior brother Yang. Looking at those dead people, Yen Yu's eyes turned red. Yang Xiaotian and the rest even cried because those who died were their friends. They had left them with countless smiles. Suddenly, they understood even more why Lin Ling had asked them to be heartless earlier. There are more people who don't want to die. You'd better hurry up. Also, such a big thing has happened. Is your father still not coming out? At this moment, Lin Ling's voice drifted over from the stairs. My father is in seclusion in the flame wheel. Other than me, no one can inform him. Therefore, he definitely doesn't know about this. Yan Yu raised her head and said. Lin Ling nodded and said, no wonder they didn't want you to come back. So that's why. Go inform your father immediately and quell the rebellion. Okay. Yan Yu nodded immediately and rushed up the stairs with Lin Ling and the rest. However, when they rushed up, they immediately realized that the Yen Emperor sect was even more chaotic. There were battles everywhere. Miss. The arrival of Lin Ling and the others immediately attracted the attention of many people. Some people were overjoyed, while others were enraged. Damn it! Shouldn't Yan Yu have died on the way? A tall, calm-looking man frowned and said. He had a square face. Even though he was furious at this moment, he didn't give off a dignified aura. When he smiled, he looked even more approachable. He was the eldest senior brother of the Yen Emperor sect, Zhang Gaofei. He was also the first disciple of the sect leader. His seniority wasn't low. However, this approachable eldest senior brother was the mastermind of the rebellion. Moreover, he had planned for a few years for today's matter and bought over a lot of people's hearts. As the saying goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. Kill her. Soon, Zhang Gaofei shouted angrily. This was because if Yan Yu woke up the sect leader, things would be troublesome. After he finished speaking, he was the first to pounce on Yan Yu. Moreover, after he made his move, a few elders also attacked crazily. Xiao Yu, be careful. On the other side, Elder Chun and the rest who were still fighting against the traitors shouted. Stop them. They wanted to help, but even more people stopped them. Obviously, the traitors knew that Yan Yu was the key. If she was alive, all the traitors would be buried with her. For their lives, they were willing to risk it all. When a person risked his life, his combat strength could be stimulated to 30%. This caused Elder Chun and the rest to be unable to free themselves. Yan Yu was stunned. In front of her, the sky was covered in flames. The aura was so terrifying that she didn't know what to do. This wasn't because she was useless. It was the first time in her life that she had encountered such a terrifying attack. Why are you in a daze? Go and tell your father. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the side. It was Lin Ling. But, how do I get there? Yan Yu replied immediately. Run forward. Don't look back. Remember, keep running. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. There were too many people attacking him. It was difficult for him to fend them off. However, at this moment, he didn't have any other choice. Run. Yan Yu's eyes widened. She didn't believe Lin Ling's words. Hurry up and run. Don't be so wishy-washy. Lin Ling shouted angrily. Yan Yu finally ran away. Moreover, she was running towards the huge amount of flames in front of her. It seemed like she was courting death. Xiao Yu, eldest miss. Elder Chun and the rest couldn't wait to become stronger so that they could protect eldest Mississippi. However, at the crucial moment, Lin Ling made his move. Chapter 26:14. The sect leader had come out of seclusion. At this moment, he finally drew his sword. Although he couldn't unleash the full power of the tyrannical Song sword, he could still increase Lin Ling's strength by a lot. The sword was drawn like an Azura. Boom. A sword light flashed, and a huge sword pillar slashed out horizontally, splitting the flaming clouds in front of them into two, forming a terrifying explosion. Of course, those exploding flames also engulfed Lin Ling and Yan Yu at the same time. At this moment, everyone was stunned. What happened? Is little Yu dead? Elder Chen's eyes also turned red. But at this moment, a figure rushed out from the remaining flames and ran forward without looking back. It was Yan Yu. She was fine. What? Cries of surprise rang out one after another. Everyone was in disbelief. Kill! Kill! Zhang Gaofei's eyes turned red as he roared. This made the traitors extremely anxious as they unleashed their ultimate techniques to engulf Yan Yu, because their life and death depended on this moment. But at this moment, the sword light flashed. All of the flames were blocked, and they actually could not touch a single hair of flaming leaf feather. In the flames, a man stood there as if he had been reborn. His slender body was infinitely taller, causing everyone to stop breathing. A sword was tightly gripped in his hand. One man and one sword, guarding Yan Yu as if he was guarding the flame world. This terrifying scene made the crowd wonder if this was the descent of the flame god. Who is this person? Kill him immediately. Kill. The panic on Zhang Gaofei's face grew. It was because of this person that Yan Yiyu was safe and sound. So, the first thing to do was to kill him. It's him. Kill. Only Elder Chen saw clearly who the handsome man was. It was Lin Ling, whom he had personally recommended. After Lin Ling had been recommended by him, the entire Yan Emperor sect had been against it. However, he had supported Lin Ling wholeheartedly and endured the mockery and opposition of the elders. Now, everything he had done was worth it. He didn't misjudge him. Today, the person who had saved the Yan Emperor sect was Lin Ling, whom he valued highly. At this moment, his eyes also became moist. Bang, bang, bang. However, even more flames landed on Lin Ling's body, as if they wanted to burn him alive. An ant can kill an elephant. Lin Ling was also bleeding from the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were still cold. Moreover, he didn't take a single step back and blocked all the wind and rain. At that moment, the boundary spirit in his body grew frantically, transforming into the boundary river. Lin Ling. At the moment, Yan Yiyu was still running. However, she could sense that the man protecting her was currently facing a terrifying attack. She finally knew why Lin Ling told her to keep running. It was because Lin Ling would protect her. She only needed to imagine Lin Ling. Don't look back. As her tears fell, a weak voice entered her ears. It was Lin Ling's voice. I'm sorry, I wronged you. Yan Yiyu gritted her teeth and stubbornly ran towards the direction of Yan Luan. She knew that if she delayed any longer, Lin Ling would die. She had to inform her father immediately. She was the only one in the entire Yan Emperor sect who knew where Yan Luan was. Only with the key could she get close to Yan Luan. Bastard, who is that bastard? Why is his defense so strong? Burn him. Seeing that his plan had failed, Zhang Gaofei let out a ferocious roar. He had never expected that the plan he had prepared for so many years would be ruined by a single person. Most importantly, he didn't know that person at all. He also didn't know when such an expert had appeared in the Yan Emperor sect. The others were so angry that their lungs were about to explode. They unleashed all their strength and attacked Lin Ling. A huge blazing sun appeared in the vast square and engulfed Lin Ling. Lin Ling! Elder Chen shouted crazily. Thinking of the past youth, his heart was filled with guilt. Lin Ling! Yang Xiaoyan's eyes were also filled with tears. She also didn't expect that the person who saved the Yan Emperor sect today was the drunkard she had unintentionally saved. The terrifying blazing sun exploded completely. It was earth-shattering, and a bottomless hole was created in the square. This made many people shake their heads. This time, Lin Ling should be dead. At this moment, the temperature in the distance suddenly rose. It even caused the ground to melt. Sect leader has come out of seclusion. Sensing the terrifying aura, Elder Chen and the others couldn't help but be overjoyed. Sure enough, a dazzling flame shot over from afar like a meteor. After it landed on the ground, it actually caused the surrounding houses to melt. After that, a man whose entire body was covered in flames appeared on the ground. He stood there quietly, seemingly causing even the air to melt. This was the sect leader's innate talent, the divine physique heavenly origin flash flame. The divine physique was an existence that surpassed the awakened divine physique. The only characteristic of this innate talent was its temperature. The terrifying temperature could reach 10,000 degrees, 100,000 degrees, or even 1,000,000 degrees. Warriors wouldn't even be able to get close to him, let alone fight with him. This was the most ancient warrior of the Flame World, and also one of the 3 great kings of the Flame World. Yan Shan King. In the Flame World, he was the strongest. His innate talent was so strong that even Lin Ling couldn't compare to him. In reality, in terms of ultimate flame Dao, he wasn't stronger than Lin Ling. However, he had cultivated in the Flame World fragment for many years and had the advantage of time and place. That was why his innate talent surpassed Lin Ling. His arrival caused the entire square to fall silent. Father! Yan Yiyu rushed over from behind, his eyes filled with tears. I know. The dazzling light gradually disappeared, and finally, it turned into a burly man. He had a square face, and his hands were behind his back. Master! Master! Seeing the man, Zhang Gaofei's face turned pale. He was very dispirited. No matter what ambition he had, when he saw his master again, he subconsciously lost all thoughts of resistance. Kneel down. Yan Shan King's eyes were extremely cold. Then he roared. Master, listen to my explanation. Zhang Gaofei was even more frightened and hurriedly shouted. You don't have to explain. Just take it that I have misjudged you. Yan Shan King roared. He glanced at all the traders and said again, "All of you kneel down." Following his voice, an unparalleled majesty spread out. Putong putong. All the traders knelt down, including Jiang Gaofei. At this moment, they had obviously failed and didn't control the Flame Emperor sect. Sect Master. Elder Chun and the rest hurriedly bowed, and Yan Shan King nodded. Lin Ling, where is Lin Ling? At this moment, Yan Yiyu's anxious voice sounded, and he looked at Elder Chun and the rest. Elder Chun and the rest instantly became gloomy. They didn't answer Yan Yiyu's words, but looked at the huge pit in the middle of the square. At this moment, Yan Yiyu seemed to have guessed something. She seemed to have been struck by lightning. Lin Ling was dead. Chapter 26:15. The Secret of the Flaming Wheel. Run forward, don't look back. The young man's firm voice resounded in her mind. Unfortunately, it was his last words. She felt as if she had lost all her strength. She walked towards the pit and knelt down. Lin Ling, I did it. I didn't look back. I grew up. Come back. She let out a heart-wrenching voice. Seeing this, Elder Chun and the rest shed tears. They knew that if it wasn't for Lin Ling, they wouldn't have been able to escape today. That mysterious young man had saved the entire Yan Emperor sect today. What happened? Yan Shan Emperor frowned and asked. However, Yan Yi was already sobbing. He looked at the rest and Yang Shoutian, and the rest told him everything, including the fact that Lin Ling had allowed them to grow and helped them take charge of their own affairs, and so on. Boom. After knowing what had happened, Yan Shan Emperor's heart was pounding. His face was filled with guilt. As the sect leader, he didn't know anything about the calamity that befell the Yan Emperor sect. Instead, the one who saved the Yan Emperor sect was a stranger. In order to save his daughter, the young man blocked the attacks of all the traitors and sacrificed himself to save her. What kind of noble sentiment was this? For a moment, the entire Yan Emperor sect was silent. Everyone remembered the name, Lin Ling. However, the Lin Ling in their hearts didn't die. Instead, he was running towards the flaming wheel. Those guys are really ruthless. He quickly crossed the ground and said gloomily, because his goal was the flaming wheel. Hence, after Yan Shan Emperor left the flaming wheel, he secretly rushed towards the mysterious place. He couldn't guarantee that Yan Shan Emperor wouldn't stop him after knowing his goal. Hence, this was the perfect opportunity. Of course, if he knew what had happened in the square, he would be speechless. Although he hadn't recovered his strength, those guys weren't qualified to kill him. If only those old fogies' attacks were a little stronger. I'll definitely enter the true god realm. In fact, Lin Ling even sensed that he was only one thickness away from the true god realm. Is the flame wheel here? Not long after, Lin Ling arrived in front of a cave. The cave was pitch black and looked extremely ordinary. If he had not sensed that Yan Shan Emperor came out from this cave, he would not have guessed that Yan Luan was here. After that, Lin Ling shot into the cave. The cave was very ordinary at first, but as they went deeper, flames began to appear on the ground, walls, and ceiling. What was surprising was that these flames were not hot, and they were extremely ancient. This seems to be the place where the infernal god and the fire god fought. Lin Ling was secretly excited. The flame world was shattered because of the battle between the two gods. But the flame world was very big. If he could find the place where the battle took place, it would be a fatal help to fire-type martial artists. Along the way, Lin Ling gradually discovered that there were quite a few caves in the surroundings. They were densely packed, and all of them were burning with flames, as if they were veins. And all the caves were gathered in a huge space. When Lin Ling arrived at the space, he was shocked to discover that it was no longer in the flame world fragment, but in the universal void. In the universal void, a huge heart was jumping. Every time it jumped, circles of flame wheels would appear. Most importantly, the heart was very big, as if it was the heart of a giant. Is this the heart of the infernal gods? At this time, a surprised voice suddenly sounded. Lin Ling was stunned, and then he laughed happily. The voice came from his body. It was Queen Qianji. I say, can you not be so surprised? You will scare me to death. Thinking about how Queen Qianji had protected him through the huge whirlpool, Lin Ling felt warm in his heart. Che, you can scare me to death. Who knows how many people will die in the universal void? Queen Qianji laughed. Lin Ling shrugged and asked casually, when did you wake up? When those old guys attacked you, I woke up. Speaking of which, the elders of the Yan Emperor sect seem to think that you are dead. Queen Qianji replied, who cares? Anyway, I have helped the Yen Emperor sect. It is reasonable for the Yen Emperor sect to repay my kindness. So, it is not a big deal to check out their forbidden area, Lin Ling said as he walked. When he arrived in front of the huge heart, the heart was still jumping, and flame wheels were still emitting from it. What is the secret of this flame wheel? Lin Ling frowned. He did not understand why the evil flame wheel was so interested in the heart. However, after seeing it with his own eyes, he did not find anything strange about it. Badump, badump. At this time, the heart was beating even faster. Lin Ling, be careful. Queen Qianji also noticed the change in the situation. I did not expect that someone would find the heart of the infernal god. At this time, a faint voice could be heard. Then, a fiery red light gathered in front of the heart and formed a fiery red figure. The figure's facial features could not be seen. It was covered in flames and looked very mysterious. True God Martial Spirit. At the same time, Lin Ling exclaimed. The fiery red figure was the martial artist's true God Martial soul, and it was extremely powerful. You are quite knowledgeable. The figure was surprised. He did not expect the young man in front of him to know his origin. So powerful. This true God Martial Spirit must have been an expert at the peak of the true God realm when he was alive. Lin Ling, be careful. If he wants to harm us, we will not be able to stop him. Queen Qianji sent a telepathic message to Lin Ling. Lin Ling nodded. He suddenly realized that the man had nothing to do with the heart. He must have accidentally entered this place and was attracted by the heart. After that, he wanted to refine the heart. In fact, his guess was correct. Where are you from? Are you from the 8 Gods' Heavenly Palace? The figure asked suddenly. 8 Gods' Heavenly Palace? Lin Ling's eyes flickered. He was more familiar with the figure's origin. The figure came from the 8 Gods' Heavenly Palace. The 8 Gods' Heavenly Palace seemed to have a path that led to the Flame World fragment. The 8 Gods' Heavenly Palace was a secret place that even Li Xiaoyao could not understand. It contained the secrets of the universe. If anyone could obtain it, they would be able to dominate the land of the 9 states. Speak. Seeing that Lin Ling seemed to be thinking about something, the figure immediately attacked violently. The moment he attacked, the entire void trembled. His strength was terrifying. This was only the strength of a true God Martial Spirit. If that person had a physical body, he would be able to combine his martial spirit with his physical body. His strength would be doubled. This kind of powerhouse was not someone that Lin Ling could resist at the moment. Lin Ling, run. Queen Qianji jumped out from Lin Ling's body and tried to stop the mysterious expert. Of course, it was just a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Even Lin Ling did not expect that there would be such a powerful cultivator hidden within the Wheel of Flame. However, just as the powerful cultivator was about to grab Lin Ling, a sudden change occurred. Boom! A terrifying flame aura burst out from Lin Ling's body. Colorful flames burned and gradually formed a huge coffin. Chapter 26:16. The Man in the Flame Coffin. Most importantly, the flame coffin wasn't summoned by Lin Ling, but by itself. When the mysterious flame coffin appeared, not only Lin Ling, but even the mysterious expert's heart tightened. Everyone could sense an ancient aura emanating from the blazing coffin. Ka-ka-ka. At this moment, the coffin emitted a deafening sound. The lid of the coffin quietly opened, and a flaming arm covered in scales stretched out from the coffin. Oh, wake up! With just a single sentence, the void trembled. What is this? Why is it that even I am trembling with fear? What is this? That mysterious expert exclaimed. He had been practicing fire attribute martial arts for many years, and his strength was monstrous. Even the heart of the flame god was almost refined by him. But now, the coffin was also of fire attribute, but it gave him a feeling of worship. And this coffin came from that young man. What exactly did that young man do? However, Lin Ling didn't pay any attention to him because he didn't know what had happened either. Die! Sensing that the situation was getting worse, the true divinity martial spirit made its move. Moreover, its target was Lin Ling. In his opinion, as long as he killed Lin Ling, this strange flame coffin would disappear. Seeing this, Lin Ling's face turned cold. However, at this moment, the huge flaming coffin swam over and broke apart inch by inch. It actually turned into pieces of armor and enveloped Lin Ling. What is this? Lin Ling couldn't react in time. Of course, the true God martial spirit and Qianji Queen were the same. Qianji Queen subconsciously rushed toward Lin Ling, completely forgetting that she couldn't stop the mysterious flaming coffin. Boom. Unfortunately, a scorching flame suddenly exploded and blew the Thousand Fate Queen away. Those flames were not Lin Ling's flames, because Lin Ling's flames were not that powerful. Crackle. At the same time, the sound of burning flames also sounded, and it was as ear-piercing as thunder. Queen Qianji quickly regained control of her body. However, she saw that the place where Lin Ling was standing was still burning. She wondered how Lin Ling was doing. The true god martial spirit sensed that something was wrong. However, there was nothing he could do. He could only look at Queen Qianji. Killing one was still one. If something unexpected happened later, it would save him some trouble. However, just as he was about to move, a muffled sound was heard. The flames in front of him began to shrink, and gradually, a flaming coffin appeared. Most importantly, the lid of the coffin was slowly pushed open, and an arm covered in red scales silently stretched out. Moreover, as if the ancient flame demon had awakened, a man crawled out of the flame coffin. This man had long red hair like a sea urchin. His entire body was covered in red scales, and wisps of flames were lingering around him like smoke. Even the flames had turned into smoke. This showed how terrifying this man was. Most importantly, his face was Lin Ling's face. Queen Qianji and the true god martial spirit were stunned by this scene. In fact, they were scared out of their wits. "I'm back," the man said in a deep voice with a smile on his face. That smile gave people a sense of evilness. Moreover, the aura on his body was ancient, as if he came from the ancient era. Say, Senior. The true god martial spirit was terrified. The man's aura was too terrifying. Although he was at the peak of the true god realm in the past, he was sure that the man was someone who had surpassed the true god realm. "I'm not called Senior. I'm called Evil Flame God." The man smiled gently as he looked at the true god martial spirit. Without any movement, he appeared in front of the true god martial spirit in an instant. His speed was definitely faster than the speed of 10 worlds. Spare my life." The true god martial spirit was trembling. He could not even speak properly. He had never thought that he would encounter such a situation while he was refining the flame god's heart. "You can leave now." While he was still in shock, the evil-looking man suddenly laughed. "All right, thank you, Senior, for not killing me." The true god martial spirit seized the opportunity and hurriedly shot into the distance. His speed was also very fast. However, just as his martial spirit moved, an arm covered with scales grabbed him. Colorful flames burned at the same time, forming a huge coffin. It wanted to seal the true god martial spirit in the coffin. "Senior, didn't you say that I can leave now?" The true god martial spirit was panicking. He could not break free from the coffin's shackles. "You can leave now, but I didn't say that I won't kill you." However, the man's next sentence made the true god martial spirit feel that this ancient evil flame god was simply a temperamental existence. "Of course, you and I have no enmity. I don't like to kill the innocent. If you didn't call me Senior, I would have let you go." The true god martial spirit was terrified because he had called the man Senior instead of Lord Evil Flame God. This meant that he was going to die. "I'm not willing." The true god martial spirit shouted angrily. He was so close to getting the heart of the flame god. Unfortunately, an ordinary-looking young man came with an evil item, which ruined his plan. Boom! It was as if an ancient flame had exploded. The coffin completely covered the true god martial spirit. Then it exploded, and everything was burned to ashes. An ancient martial artist at the peak of the true god realm had fallen here. Far away, Queen Qianji covered her mouth. She could not believe what had just happened. Previously, the true god martial spirit was so domineering that it could dominate everything. That was the truth. The true god martial spirit not only dominated them, but also the entire flame world. However, after the evil-looking man appeared, the domineering existence was sealed in the coffin and burned to ashes. Whoosh! While she was still in shock, the man had already appeared in front of Queen Qianji. She was stunned. She had to admit that the man was very beautiful. His body was covered in red armor, and his long hair was draped over his shoulders. He looked like a real infernal god. However, he was the dark side of the infernal god, the evil flame god. If she did not feel that the evil flame god was temperamental, she might have been tempted by him. "Little girl, you can leave now." The man smiled gently. "You'll kill me?" Queen Qianji did not move. The true god martial spirit was a good example. I hate smart women. Sigh. You could have left, but I've changed my mind. The man shook his head. What was terrifying was that he wanted to kill Queen Qianji, but he could find some excuses to make her tremble in fear. However, he was so powerful that she could not do anything to him. You dare to kill her? However, just as the man was about to attack, a furious voice was heard. The man's expression changed drastically, and his eyes kept changing. Sometimes he looked evil. Sometimes he looked determined. It was as if he had a split personality. Chapter 26:17. Fight to protect. I definitely want to reach the top of Huanyu, but I can't kill the innocent. Another voice rang out. It was filled with determination, and it came from a man's body. Lin Ling. Queen Qianji could tell that it was Lin Ling's voice. Furthermore, evil infernal god? It had to be known that Lin Ling cultivated the demonic flame transformation. Could it be that his cultivation method had mutated, and he had given birth to his own soul? Foolish. The man roared, if you don't kill them all, how can you become a god? Trash doesn't have the right to live. You are the ignorant one. They are the motivation for me to become strong. Without them, where would I be today? I, Lin Ling, tell you, no matter who you are, I am the owner of this body. No one can change my principles. Lin Ling's voice also came out crazily, with an unprecedented firmness. He rose from Gu Yen's sect and fought for the sake of protecting. This was his principle and his motivation to become strong. He would never slaughter his family and friends for the sake of becoming stronger, because those were not burdens, but forbidden areas in his heart that could not be violated. You don't have the right to talk about me. That man also roared angrily, his imposing manner extremely strong. Look at the top of your head and see what it is. Lin Ling's voice became hysterical, causing the man to look up. Above his head, a huge divine steel smashed down with a loud bang. Its terrifying aura was even more terrifying than the heart in the distance. The space-time steel. The man's eyes were filled with deep fear. He had just awakened and wanted to seize Lin Ling's body to revive himself in this world. But who would have thought that Lin Ling would have such an ancient artifact? Boom! The gigantic divine steel of time and space smashed down, causing the void to tremble and sparks to fly in all directions. You can deny my words, but you will understand in the future. The man let out a cry of indignation. In the end, he was smashed down by the space-time divine steel. From afar, he looked like a tombstone. On the other hand, Queen Qianji witnessed the shocking scene with her own eyes. She stood there blankly without saying a word for a long time. This area of space seemed to have fallen silent. Only the heart in the distance continued to beat, adding a strange atmosphere. Lin Ling, are you all right? After some time, Queen Qianji finally reacted. She let out a worried voice. She had also guessed what had happened. It should be that the evil infernal god had awakened and wanted to take over Lin Ling's body and consciousness. Unfortunately, Lin Ling's tenacity exceeded the evil infernal god's expectations. Ka. At this moment, the space-time divine steel slowly floated up. A man covered in blood lifted the space-time divine steel. It was a ghastly sight. You're Lin Ling? Or the evil infernal god? Queen Qianji's heart skipped a beat. I'm Lin Ling. The man originally had his head down, but at this moment, he slowly raised his head. His face was cold, but his eyes were firm. However, that pair of eyes no longer contained the madness and evil intent. It was Lin Ling's gaze. Seeing this, Queen Qianji finally felt relieved. Lin Ling lifted the space-time divine steel with both hands. He held the space-time divine steel with one hand and walked forward step by step. Waves of terrifying aura spread out from his body. Queen Qianji was stunned. She was a middle true immortal realm expert, but when she saw Lin Ling, she felt that she could not fight him. That guy is the evil infernal god that was summoned by the evil flame change. No wonder it wanted to come here. The fire element spiritual energy here is dense enough for it to awaken. Lin Ling said as he walked. He was very clear that there were two reasons why he could suppress the evil flame god. Firstly, the evil flame transformation was something he had cultivated. The evil flame transformation couldn't kill him. It could only seize his body and consciousness. Second, it was the space-time divine steel. However, that guy was not dead. It had just fallen into a deep sleep again. You've broken through to the next realm. Queen Qianji sensed Lin Ling's terrifying aura. Yes. Lin Ling nodded. Now that both of his Dantians had reached the first stage of true god realm, his strength was 3 times stronger than before. Of course, Lin Ling was able to successfully break through to the next realm because he had been on the verge of breaking through for a long time. Second, the evil infernal god had taken over his body and given him some power. However, Queen Qianji could see that Lin Ling's eyes were filled with anger. Obviously, if the evil infernal god had taken over his body, Lin Ling would no longer be Lin Ling. He would kill his family and friends just to become a god. Obviously, this had touched Lin Ling's reverse scale. That guy won't be able to come out for now. With the space-time divine steel, he won't dare to be too arrogant. However, I know that he has been trying to take over my consciousness and change me. Lin Ling kept the space-time divine steel and said coldly. The evil infernal god had been hiding in Lin Ling's skill. It was like a ticking time bomb. However, Lin Ling was confident that one day he would be able to take over the evil infernal god's consciousness. Heart of the infernal god. Then, Lin Ling looked at the beating heart in front of him, and a smile finally appeared on his face. He did not expect that after coming to the Wheel of Flames, he would be the final winner. Moreover, his strength had been restored and increased greatly. This made him want to roar at the sky. The heart of the infernal god belongs to me. Lin Ling moved and shot towards the heart that was floating in the void, gradually disappearing into it. Seeing this, Queen Qianji was happy for Lin Ling. Lin Ling had sacrificed so much, and now, he was finally reaping the rewards. The mysterious heart was hanging in the sky and beating. Every time it beat, a wheel of flames would spread out. It was extremely mysterious. This ancient heart of the infernal god was actually one of the infernal god's hearts. It had divine power that could not be underestimated. Without the true god martial spirit, Lin Ling would need a long time to refine it. However, the true god martial spirit was already 90% refined. Therefore, Lin Ling took advantage of the situation and successfully refined it. At this moment, his second dantian exploded. The space-time flame was roaring. Moreover, the ancient heart was moving because of the flame. The flame wheel that came out of his heart had also turned into a myriad of colors at this moment. The heart of the infernal god seemed to have completely merged with the space-time flame. Kid, a man of great ambition does not care about trifles. I'm doing this for your own good. At this moment, the evil infernal god's voice sounded again. It actually entered the heart. I was born from the evil infernal transformation that you cultivated. I am you and you are me. Give me your consciousness and let us merge into one. A large amount of flames floated out from the heart and finally condensed into a figure. It was Lin Ling's figure. However, it was different from the real Lin Ling. It was more emotionless and cold. Get lost. At this moment, Lin Ling sensed the scene in his dantian. He shouted angrily. The space-time divine steel appeared in his right eye and swam towards his dantian. Finally, it fiercely suppressed the heart. Sooner or later, you will understand. Chapter 26:18. His strength had increased tremendously. Lin Ling's eyes flickered. Although he had refined the infernal god's heart, it had turned into the infernal god's heart. Luckily, both the infernal god's heart and the infernal god's heart had merged with the space-time flames. Therefore, the space-time divine steel could suppress everything. As long as he did not use the heart of the infernal god would not be able to come out. I didn't expect my second dantian to condense a true god martial soul. Lin Ling exclaimed inwardly. True god realm cultivators possessed a true god martial soul, but not everyone could comprehend it. However, Lin Ling's flame Dao had it, and it was the heart of the infernal god. The heart of the infernal god is not to be underestimated. If I use it, I will be able to unleash a terrifying power. Lin Ling said. Not only had he broken through, but he had also discovered that his talent had reached the 9th grade awakened divine physique. Moreover, his ultimate flame Dao had reached the perfection stage of the true realm of Dao. This allowed Lin Ling to easily cultivate the 4th stage of the demonic flame change, heaven and earth change. This stage could be said to be the watershed of the demonic flame's 6 transformations. It raised one's cultivation by one whole true god realm and reached the speed of 4 realms. If Lin Ling used the heart of the infernal god, he did not know how strong he would be. At least, Lin Ling would not be afraid of a 3rd-level true god realm cultivator, and he would be able to kill him easily. I cultivate essence, chi, and spirit. In the chi realm, I have already met the requirements of the next stage of the chaos divine formula. Only my physical strength and soul power have not met the requirements. Otherwise, I would have formed a third dantian. Lin Ling was looking forward to it. With 2 dantians, he could already defeat many experts. What if he had 3 dantians? Then Lin Ling stood up. You're awake? At the same time, Thousand Traps Queen could not help but laugh. She could feel that Lin Ling's strength had increased once again. Not only was he invincible in the same realm, but he could also defeat a second-level true God realm cultivator. She had been following Lin Ling all this time and had witnessed Lin Ling's growth with her own eyes. She knew how monstrous Lin Ling was. After all, Lin Ling had not even been in the martial god realm for 1,000 years, yet he had already stepped into the true immortal realm. Moreover, he was an existence that could not be underestimated in the early stage. We can go home now. Lin Ling, on the other hand, smiled slightly. Thinking of everything that had happened before, he immediately felt a sense of joy after suffering. Do you know how to get back? Hearing this, Queen Qianji's eyes lit up. There are 2 paths back here. One leads to the 4th floor of the 8 gods' heavenly palace, and the other is the path that the sect leader of the Yan Emperor sect and the others came from. The end of the second path is also the huge whirlpool where the worlds collide. Others don't dare to pass through that huge whirlpool, but we have already experienced it once. I think it won't stop us a second time, Lin Ling said confidently. He had the 10,000 mammoths' demonic eyes, which allowed him to see through everything in the universe. This was something that no one could compare to. After that, he led Queen Qianji forward. There were many caves in the void, and one of them led to the huge whirlpool. However, just as Lin Ling was about to step into the huge whirlpool, he stopped. What's wrong? Queen Qianji could not help but ask. It's all thanks to the Yan Emperor sect that I was able to increase my strength so quickly. It would be immoral for me to just leave like this. So, I might as well pay them a visit. Lin Ling smiled, which made Queen Qianji shake her head helplessly. You don't trust them, right? Why are you looking for excuses? You are a righteous person. However, even though she said that, she knew that this was the difference between Lin Ling and Xie Yenshin. Think what you want. Lin Ling curled his lips, turned around, and headed towards the Yan Emperor sect. This was because he suddenly remembered that the Yan Emperor sect's betrayal did not happen suddenly. It was a plan that had been prepared for a long time. Most importantly, if it was an internal conflict, the sect leader of the Yan Emperor sect could solve it. But what if it was a war between the 3 sects? That would be hard to say. I just made a breakthrough in my cultivation. I hope that the experts in this fragment of the flame world can give me a surprise. Lin Ling's confident voice floated out of the cave. At this moment, everyone in the Yan Emperor sect could finally put down their worries. Now that the sect leader had come out of seclusion, all the disasters would be suppressed. Zhang Gaofei, what else do you have to say? At this moment, the Yanshan king put his hands behind his back and looked at the traitor, who was kneeling on the ground. All the traitors lowered their heads, and their faces were ashen. Even their eldest senior brother, Zhang Gaofei, was the same. Traitor, what else do you have to say? The crowd roared furiously as well. They hated Zhang Gaofei because their family and friends had all died in this calamity. Zhang Gaofei was kneeling on the ground with his head lowered. No one knew what he was thinking. What else do I have to say? Master, I have sacrificed so much blood and sweat for the Yan Emperor sect in my life. I have been so loyal and devoted. But what have I gotten in return? He suddenly said to himself. Don't tell me that I haven't put enough blood and sweat into you. Have I neglected you? The Yanshan king said coldly. Haha. Zhang Gaofei raised his head and couldn't help but laugh. What's the use of blood and sweat? What I want is respect from the bottom of my heart. Do you know how I've been through all these years? When those junior brothers entered the sect, I taught them martial arts, and they were extremely respectful to me. But in the days that followed, they surpassed me. When I taught them again, they said to me, Eldest senior brother, you're too weak. You can't even learn this bit of martial arts. I'd better ask eldest senior sister for guidance. That kind of sarcasm, that kind of contempt, who would know? The entire Yan Emperor sect looked down on me, thinking that I was just lucky. If I wasn't the first disciple to become master's disciple, I wouldn't even be qualified to be a guard disciple. Zhang Gaofei's eyes were red. So, you betrayed the Yan Emperor sect and killed your junior brothers? The Yanshan king said angrily. Yes, they mocked me in the past. Today, I will make them pay the price. Haha, I, Zhang Gaofei, am not someone who can be bullied. I am also a man. Zhang Gaofei seemed to have thrown caution to the wind and laughed crazily. Then let me ask you, without me, what kind of person would you be? However, the next sentence of the Yenshan King stunned Zhang Gaofei. Without the Yenshan King, he would just be an ordinary person in the flame world. He wouldn't be able to enjoy the feeling of being above others. Let me ask you again, even if your talent is ordinary, have I ever mistreated you all these years? The Yenshan King said again. Zhang Gaofei had no words to refute. The Yenshan King valued friendship. Zhang Gaofei was his first disciple. Hence, he had never mistreated this disciple. You don't understand. I want to dominate the flame world with my strength, not with master's reputation. Yenshan King, since you brought me into the world of martial arts, you should make me the strongest. You are not worthy of being my master. However, Zhang Gaofei didn't feel guilty. Instead, he shouted angrily, and for the first time, he called the Yenshan King by his name. Chapter 26:19. The enemy is here. Bastard. Elder Chun and the rest couldn't take it anymore and scolded. Sigh. Yenshan King let out a long sigh. He couldn't help but admit that he was an unqualified master. However, Zhang Gaofei stood up and laughed arrogantly. Yenshan Emperor, I know that you're going to kill me today. Since that's the case, our relationship as master and disciple is over. Don't blame me for being merciless. You're the one who forced me to do this. Moreover, as a master, you killed your disciple. Who can be more cold-blooded than you? Today, all of you must die. All of you are jealous of me and want me dead. You won't live past today. Zhang Gaofei became hysterical as he roared again and again. Yenshan Emperor and the rest frowned. Zhang Gaofei, what did he mean? Zhang Gaofei, you're really disappointing. At this moment, a cold voice came from the sky. Then, a large number of figures came from afar. They were from Meiyu sect and Taichu sect. Moreover, the leaders of the two sects came personally. This was the gathering of the three leaders of the flame world. This was the first time many people saw the three strongest cultivators of the flame world together. Old Mei Taichu, what's the meaning of this? Yenshan Emperor looked at the sky and frowned. I think we don't have to waste time explaining. An old man in a Taoist robe said calmly. There was a flaming moon embroidered on the back of his robe. He was the leader of Meiyu sect. In fact, Yenshan Emperor had already guessed it. He looked at Zhang Gaofei and asked, You colluded with them? Haha, Yenshan Emperor, it's too late for you to know. Zhang Gaofei immediately sneered, causing Elder Chun and the others to curse him. This was simply a cruel and unscrupulous beast. Most importantly, he obviously wanted to seize the Yen Emperor sect, but he acted like a victim. It was extremely shameless. Zhang Gaofei, I asked you to take control of the Flame Emperor sect. It's such a simple task, and you can't even do it. You're really useless. The leader of Taichu sect said. According to their plan, Zhang Gaofei would take control of the Flame Emperor sect, and then they would come and kill Yenshan Emperor. Who knew that it would still fail? A cockroach ruined my plans. Hearing the sect leader's words, Zhang Gaofei immediately said angrily. The cockroach in his words was Lin Ling. In his opinion, that Lin Ling was simply a lowly commoner among lowly commoners. He actually dragged down such a noble person like him. All right, let's talk about this later. The two sect leaders spoke at the same time. Then they looked at Yenshan King. In the past, we made an agreement to control the flame world together. However, you, Yenshan King, were too greedy. You took over the flame wheel and the mines. Hence, don't blame us for being merciless today. So that's how it is. You've been eyeing us covetously for a long time. What's with the excuses? Flame Flash King was not surprised by their ambition. In fact, he had been wary of them for a long time. It was just that they were not as strong as him, so he did not fear them. Let's cut the crap. Let's fight. The two sect leaders immediately unleashed their powerful auras, causing the flames to soar into the sky. Then they walked towards Flame Flash King. Sect Master. Many disciples of the Yen Emperor sect started to worry. It's all right. The sect master's strength is above theirs. They are here to die, Elder Chun said confidently. This was because this was not the first time such a battle had happened. In the past, the sect master had returned victorious. Moreover, the sect master was magnanimous. Every time he won, he did not kill the other party. This was because the sect master cared that the other party came from the same world and was from the same hometown. This was a secret of the Yen Emperor sect. Not many people knew about it. However, they did not know that this time, the other party came prepared. They were obviously very confident. Boom. The sect master of the Mayu sect emitted a powerful aura. It was as if a flame god was floating in the sky. Fourth level true god? You have broken through? Flame Flash King was originally very confident. However, at this moment, his expression changed drastically. The other party's cultivation level was higher than his. Haha, I used all the flame crystals in the sect to cultivate. I forcefully broke through so that I could defeat an old man like you. The sect master of the Mayu sect roared proudly. Flame Flash King, to think that you would have such a day. The other sect master also shouted angrily. He raised both his hands and countless sparks of flames poured out. These flames were very small, like dust. However, when they landed on the bodies of the crowd, they immediately felt that the energy in their bodies was suppressed. They could not use any spiritual energy. Didn't you promise me that you would not devour the talent? Seeing this, Flame Flash King's expression turned ugly. This was because he had used the illusory demon flame, a level 9 awakened godly body. This demon flame was born in the flame world and was not very powerful. However, this talent had a fatal advantage. It could suppress all fire elemental talents and prevent fire elemental martial artists from using spiritual energy. In the past, Flame Flash King had seen this talent. However, because it could only suppress fire elemental martial artists, it had too many flaws. Therefore, he did not use it and even sealed the talent. Who knew that the sect master of the Taichu sect would violate the agreement and secretly refine the talent. This meant that it would be difficult for the sect master to change his talent. If he left this place, his strength would be limited. Any martial artist could defeat him. Only fire elemental martial artists would be suppressed by him. Although this talent is of little value, I have thought it through. As long as I don't leave this place for the rest of my life, it will be enough. Everyone here is a fire elemental martial artist. Therefore, my talent is enough to be called a king. The sect master laughed crazily. Bang, bang, bang. At this moment, the disciples of the Yen Emperor sect fell powerlessly on the ground. They had lost the ability to fight. This showed how heaven-defying the talent was. As for the disciples of the other two sects, they had their own special antidotes. Therefore, they were safe and sound. Antidote. Jiang Gaofei also felt that his spiritual energy had been sealed. He quickly shouted. Soon, someone threw the antidote to him. This made him laugh excitedly. In the entire Yen Emperor sect, only Flame Flash King could still fight. After all, his talent was higher, and he was immune to a portion of the Demon Flame's power. You all are despicable. At this moment, Flame Flash King felt that he was too kind in the past. Because, if he wanted to dominate the flame world, he would have killed the two sect masters. He cared about the past, but the other party did not. Haha. Hearing this, the other two sect masters laughed sarcastically. Don't make it sound so good. You didn't kill us because you wanted to humiliate us slowly. We came from the same place, but you became a king in the flame world. We are all your subordinates. This is the feeling you want. One of them said coldly. A gentleman's virtue is like the wind, a villain's virtue is like the grass. Flame Flash King roared, and then rushed towards the sky. Boom. His talent exploded, causing a blazing sun to appear in the sky. He was the most talented martial artist in the flame world. He had a true divine body. Court of the Gods. After his talent exploded, flame gods descended from all directions, as though they were blessing Flame Flash King. This was the Court of the Gods. It was a unique characteristic of the divine body. It was similar to the divine light protection of the awakened divine body. It had a strong supporting effect. Temperature. Chapter 2620. Boom, boom, boom. The mountains around the Yen Emperor sect started burning without any fire. As for the people on the ground, their mouths and tongues were dry, because the temperature was too high. Looking at the Yen Shan Emperor's aura, the two sect leaders looked serious. Although the Yen Shan Emperor's fire spiritual energy was suppressed, he was still a force to be reckoned with. His spiritual energy is depleting quickly. With the suppression of our evil flames, he will be defeated sooner or later. Delay him. Delay. The old man from the Mayu sect said coldly. He was extremely cunning. 100,000 burning heavens and earth. Boom. While the two of them were talking, a huge flaming palm came. The Yen Shan Emperor's attack was coming. Stop him. The two sect leaders joined forces and used their ultimate skills. Boom. However, they were no match for the Yen Shan Emperor. After the first clash, they spat out blood and flew backwards. They were in a sorry state. Haha, Yanshan Emperor, your attack has weakened. Come on, come on. I know you are loyal and treat your disciples as your family. However, your family betrayed you and caused more people to die. Are you in pain? However, the two sect leaders endured their injuries and flew into the sky again. 500,000 flaming pagoda. Hearing their words, the Yanshan Emperor was enraged. An even more terrifying temperature burst out. 500,000 degrees. Boom. The mountains were roasted by the temperature and exploded. The Yen Emperor sect was also engulfed in flames. At this moment, the entire flame world seemed to have become the bottom of a volcano. However, the two sect leaders sneered. They did not want to fight the Yanshan Emperor head-on. Instead, they used their movement skills to fly in the sky. They were obviously trying to exhaust the Yanshan Emperor's energy. Yanshan Emperor, your daughter is very beautiful. After you die, I will treat her well and make her my 29th concubine. Haha, old May, after you are tired of her, you must let me play with her. As they ran, they mocked. Bastard! Behind them, the Yanshan Emperor was so angry that his eyes were red. He chased after them. Not good, sect leader fell for their provocation. If it wasn't for the illusory demonic flame, sect master wouldn't be afraid even if they were to play tricks. However, the illusory demonic flame is constantly suppressing sect master's spiritual energy. Seeing this, Elder Chun and the rest were extremely anxious. However, they did not even have the strength to fly, and could not help at all. As time passed, Flame Flash King's aura began to weaken. Die! The leader of the Mayu sect sneered, stopped in her tracks, and suddenly launched a sneak attack. Boom! Flame Flash King couldn't react in time, and was immediately smashed to the ground. This made the sect leader stand in the sky and laugh out loud. After so many years, this was the first time he had seriously injured Flame Flash King. However, Flame Flash King was going all out. He rushed forward once again. But everyone could see that it was only a matter of time before Yanshan King lost. Let's see how hard your bones are. Come on, you're worried about your daughter, right? I'll let my disciple humiliate her in front of you, and let you hear your daughter's moans. The two sect leaders continued to provoke Flame Flash King with their words. They were like two cruel wolves toying with an injured elephant. Every time Flame Flash King was seriously injured, he would fight again and again until his entire body was covered in blood. Sect leader. Father. Seeing the tragic scene in the sky, all the Flame Emperor sect disciples' faces turned pale. They knew that they had lost the battle. They would all die. Yen Yeyu and Yang Xiaotian sat on the ground powerlessly. Their faces were filled with pain. They had tried their best, but it was a pity that they could not change the outcome. Flame Flash King, look at your daughter. At this moment, a sinister smile suddenly sounded. Zhang Gaofei had already appeared in front of Yen Yeyu. Moreover, he grabbed Yen Yeyu's neck with his big hand. Marry me and I'll spare your father's life. Zhang Gaofei licked his lips. He wanted to humiliate Flame Flash King's daughter in front of him. This would also cause Flame Flash King's mind to be in a mess, and he would be more likely to be defeated. Xiaoyu. In the sky, Flame Flash King was stunned. At this moment, the attacks of the two sect leaders arrived, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood. However, his gaze was still fixed on the ground. Father, Yen Yeyu said with difficulty. Zhang Gaofei smiled proudly. However, just as Zhang Gaofei was expecting Yen Yeyu to nod her head, a firm voice sounded in Yen Yeyu's mind. Go forward, don't look back. Go to hell, bastard. You trash of the Flame Emperor sect. Yen Yeyu immediately scolded. Since she had decided to fight with her father, then she would continue to walk forward and never look back. This was what Lin Ling had taught her. No matter what kind of storm or calamity she would encounter, as long as she had made a decision, then she would walk forward resolutely. Bang! Yen Yeyu forcefully slapped Zhang Gaofei while scolding, causing the latter to be enraged. Flame Flash King, you dominate the flame world and do whatever you want. Today, I will let you watch your daughter die in front of you. Haha, you trash who values friendship and loyalty. You will definitely be in pain. Zhang Gaofei was hit by Yen Yeyu. He seemed to have gone crazy. Of course, what completely infuriated him was that sentence. Trash of the Flame Emperor sect. This reminded him of the strange gazes of his junior brothers. He threw Yen Yeyu far away. At this moment, the Flame Emperor sect had already been destroyed. There were flames everywhere. Yen Yeyu was thrown down the mountain, and was about to smash into the flames. Her fate was obvious. Xiaoyu. Seeing this scene, Flame Flash King immediately cried out in pain. Unfortunately, he was too far away to save Yenyeyu. Senior Sister. All the disciples of the Flame Emperor sect shouted. They admired Senior Sister's courage, but they were unwilling to see her fall here forever. The Flame Emperor sect will never be defeated. At this moment, Yenyeyu was smashed into the flames at the foot of the mountain, but she shouted. As the Senior Sister, she couldn't be weak in front of the Flame Emperor sect today. Otherwise, the Flame Emperor sect, her junior brothers, and all her friends and family would lose the will to fight. She must have the demeanor of a Senior Sister. However, as she got closer and closer to the foot of the mountain, her eyes started to moisten. She remembered Lin Ling's words. Lin Ling once said that the Flame Emperor sect was too peaceful. Once they encountered a great calamity, they would definitely be wiped out. Lin Ling was right. Lin Ling, you lied to me. You said that you would protect us if we made a deal. She couldn't help but cry. Although she had always been strong, she still had a weak side in her heart. At this moment, she saw a black shadow appear in the smoky sky. It was like an eagle soaring in the sky, and it was getting closer and closer to her. When everything became real, she stopped crying because it was a young man in a blue robe. When have I, Lin Ling, not gone back on my words? That lazy voice suddenly drifted into her ears. Soon after, she felt herself being hugged by someone. It was the most peaceful harbor in the world. Bang! At the same time, a figure hugged Yenyeyu and slammed into the ground. Chapter 26-21. With me around, the Yen Emperor sect will have nothing to worry about. Following that smash, the flames on the ground scattered. A man carrying Yenyeyu walked out from the dispersing flames like a flame god. Moreover, he was heading towards the top of the mountain. This scene shocked all the experts on the mountain peak. Who is he? Doubts arose in many people's hearts. However, it was undeniable that the man was like a divine soldier descending from the heavens. This scene shocked their hearts. Lin Ling, you're not dead. Being hugged by Lin Ling, Yenyeyu felt like she was in a dream. Then, she couldn't help but cry. Although she was Lin Ling's senior sister, in reality, Lin Ling was more like her senior brother. This mysterious man was carefree and unrestrained, standing aloof from worldly affairs. However, at critical moments, he was more reliable than anyone else. Lin Ling, the Yen Emperor sect is going to be destroyed. Everyone is going to die. Yenyeyu's tears flowed out. This caused Lin Ling to halt his steps. He shook his head and smiled. Don't you still have me? His voice was calm, but it was filled with great confidence. Yenyeyu was stunned. Lin Ling's smile was very charming, and she was actually mesmerized by it. But after Lin Ling put her down, she also reacted. They are two great sect masters. Although she knew that Lin Ling was very magical, she did not think that Lin Ling was a match for the two sect leaders. Unfortunately, after Lin Ling put her down, he had already climbed up the stairs to the Yen Emperor sect. At this moment, the Yen Emperor sect was covered in smoke, but it was silent. Just as the Yen Emperor sect was about to disappear from the world, a young man suddenly appeared and joined the battle. How could they not be shocked? Countless gazes were fixed on Lin Ling, including the three sect leaders in the sky. It's Lin Ling. Yang Xiaotian was the first to speak, her face filled with joy. Elder Chen couldn't help but smile. But soon their faces dimmed. Although they were surprised by Lin Ling's appearance, they didn't think that Lin Ling could change anything. Elder Chen almost shouted, Lin Ling, get out of here. If they stayed in the Yen Emperor sect, they would be completely annihilated. However, before his voice could be heard, Lin Ling had already spoken. As long as I'm here, the Yen Emperor sect has nothing to worry about. As soon as he said that, the Yen Emperor sect became even more silent. Everyone thought that Lin Ling would say something, but in the end, Lin Ling said that there was no need to worry about the Yen Emperor sect, and the only one they could rely on was Lin Ling. Boom! In just a short moment, everyone's hearts were pounding. They couldn't believe it. The two sect leaders in the sky let out disdainful smiles. They did not even bother to look at Lin Ling. You are just a disciple of the Yen Emperor sect. Who gave you such confidence? After hearing Zhang Gaofei's words, the disdainful smiles on the two sect leaders' faces deepened. They were wondering who it was, but it turned out that it was just a disciple of the Yen Emperor sect. Where did this junior come from? He's just a disciple, but he's deliberately mystifying things. Be the first to kill him. The disciples of the other two sects shouted coldly. Some of them were even tempted to kill Lin Ling. They were not even afraid of the Yan Emperor sect's sect leader. How could they be afraid of a disciple? Could it be him? At this moment, Yan Shan King's eyes flickered. He guessed that the young man was the one who had saved the Yan Emperor sect. This made him feel extremely grateful. When the Yan Emperor sect was in danger, the one who dared to fight against the enemy was a disciple that he did not know. Go, leave immediately. The Yan Emperor sect is like a flame. If it is extinguished today, it will burn again in the future and meet the flame world. Yan Shan King couldn't help but roar. That disciple was the pride of the Yan Emperor sect. With him around, the Yan Emperor sect would never disappear from the world. Unfortunately, Lin Ling did not care about his words. Instead, he walked towards Zhang Gaofei. Zhang Gaofei sneered. He was not afraid at all. He did not realize that Lin Ling was already a true God realm expert. Perhaps to him, there were only 3 people in the flame world who had reached the true God realm. It was impossible for others to do so. Why? Are you not going to greet your senior brother? Zhang Gaofei said coldly. Lin Ling stopped in his tracks. Do you know? I hate ungrateful people the most in my life. Even though you're just an ant, you've successfully angered me. Haha. Zhang Gaofei could not help but laugh. Peasant, if you did not enter the Yan Emperor sect, you are nothing. You are the cockroach that ruined my plans. Do you know what you did wrong? You did wrong because you did not know your place and ruined my plans. He still regarded himself as the senior brother and Lin Ling as the junior brother. If the geniuses of the Resplendent Academy were here, they would definitely be laughing their heads off. Not everyone could be the senior brother of the number 1 genius in the history of the Resplendent Academy. Trash. Lin Ling did not bother to explain anything. He continued to look at Zhang Gaofei with contempt. Say that again. Zhang Gaofei's face immediately became gloomy. The word trash was his reverse scale. Look at my mouth. Lin Ling laughed. The reason why he was talking nonsense with this ant was because the other party disgusted him. Trash. Another sarcastic remark floated out in shock. Zhang Gaofei is the senior brother. He hates it when his junior brother looks down on him. That guy is pouring oil on senior brother Zhang's anger. There will be a good show to watch. The disciples of the two sects rejoiced in Zhang Gaofei's misfortune. As expected, Zhang Gaofei's face darkened. As a junior brother, you really can't see yourself clearly. Pitiful, you are the one who can't see yourself clearly. Lin Ling's eyes turned cold. He waved his right hand and a sword light flashed. The tyrannical song sword once again shone in the flame world. Zhang Gaofei was unable to react in time. Everything below his knees was directly cut off, and his entire body fell to the ground. Then a cry of pain floated out. You crippled me, Zhang Gaofei said in disbelief. He was shocked. What a fast sword. He did not even notice it. How could this junior brother Lin Ling be so strong? Do you know why I didn't kill you? I wanted to show you how strong your so-called world is. However, Lin Ling did not even look at him. He turned around and looked at the sky. Then he pointed his sword at the experts in the sky. I am a merciful person. I don't like to kill. The reason why I used my sword is because I owe the Yan Emperor sect a favor. I also made a deal with the young miss of the sect. So, you have 3 breaths of time to escape. The moment the sword was drawn, the world fell silent. However, the disciples of the two sects were stunned. So arrogant? Even the disciples of the Yan Emperor sect were shocked. Was Lin Ling going to kill them all? So powerful. Only Yang Xiaotian and Yan Yiyu had admiration in their eyes. Was this what a real martial artist was like? Compared to Lin Ling's arrogance, their martial arts practice was just child's play. You were just a disciple. Who gave you the right to be so arrogant? However, after a moment of silence, the disciples of the two sects shouted angrily. Sect leader, I will kill him. I will. No one is allowed to snatch him from me. Chapter 26-22. Unparalleled Might. Die! Many disciples swooped down from the sky, fighting to be the first to attack. In their eyes, a mere disciple of the Yan Emperor sect was limited in strength. He might not even be as strong as an elder of the Yan Emperor sect. Some of the top geniuses from the two sects even said arrogantly, I don't care who you are, but you're obviously a disciple of the Yan Emperor sect. Let me, the number 1 genius of the Meiyu sect, fight you. Flames that filled the sky erupted at this moment. It was as if a multicolored meteor had smashed into the ground. Although the disciples of the two sects couldn't compare to the Yen Emperor sect, they had the advantage in numbers. If they attacked together, even the elders of the Yen Emperor sect wouldn't be able to block them. Their talents weren't weak either. They had all reached the 5th grade awakened godly body. Damn it! If my spiritual energy wasn't suppressed, I would definitely help him. Lin Ling, be careful. Seeing this, everyone in the Yen Emperor sect was worried for Lin Ling. Although they knew who Lin Ling was, that was all they knew. Lin Ling used the Yen Emperor sect's cultivation technique, the blazing origin protection technique. Elder Qin was the one who was most worried about Lin Ling, so he reminded loudly. He knew that Lin Ling had just arrived, so he was the least affected by the demonic flames. However, his strength wasn't enough to stop the disciples of the two sects. However, under everyone's gaze, Lin Ling just stood there motionless. Stupid, he's scared stupid. Zhang Gaofei roared on the ground, his eyes filled with hatred. He wanted to see Lin Ling burn to death with his own eyes. Rumble. That was indeed the case. Countless flames came crashing down and drowned Lin Ling. But at this moment, swords flew out from Lin Ling's body, intertwining with each other. The sword light was like water. The 81 swords easily blocked the sea of fire in the sky. One had to know that no one in the World King realm could block the descent of the sea of flames. Therefore, everyone was shocked. At this moment, everyone in the sky was stunned. The disciples of the Yen Emperor sect on the ground opened their mouths wide. In their eyes, Lin Ling's blue robe fluttered as he stood on the ground. He held his sword with one hand and didn't move at all. Yet, those terrifying attacks were all blocked. To them, this scene was no different from a god. He didn't use any fire attribute martial arts? Even Elder Chun was in disbelief. In Flame World, fire attribute martial arts represented everything. When had he ever seen a sword path that had nothing to do with fire attribute? As for Zhang Gaofei, he was dumbfounded. What kind of technique is this? He thought that he was the senior brother, and Lin Ling had joined the Yen Emperor sect later, so he was the junior brother. His status was not as high as his. However, he suddenly realized that this junior brother was mysterious beyond his imagination. He was like a frog at the bottom of a well. A mere spark dares to compete with the sun and moon. At this moment, Lin Ling coldly spat out these words. He waved his sleeve as if he was the king of swords. Whoosh! Whoosh! The Ashura sword formation shot towards the sky with a crushing force. Boom! 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 The sea of fire that came crashing down from the sky was actually cut into pieces and exploded in all directions. With just a move, the attacks of all the disciples from the two sects were easily disintegrated. Those exploding flames sprinkled down like a rain of fire. However, in the dazzling rain of fire, Lin Ling walked out step by step. Blue robe, ancient sword like a fire god. So powerful. Yen Yiyu's eyes trembled violently. She never expected Lin Ling's strength to be beyond her imagination. Who is this guy? He doesn't have any fire attribute martial arts, but he easily blocked our attacks. Your strength is comparable to an elder's. Admirable. The top geniuses of the two sects stared at Lin Ling and said solemnly, Of course, this is only for now. In the future, I will definitely surpass you. The title of Flame World's genius cannot be humiliated. Then they began to retreat. They didn't have the heart to fight. However, when they retreated, they were still arrogant because they were the geniuses of Flame World. However, they wanted to escape because they couldn't win? Wasn't this a little too optimistic? In front of me, no one in Flame World is qualified to be called a genius. Lin Ling sneered and pointed his ancient sword at the sky. Swoosh! Swoosh! 81 Shura swords shot into the sky. The powerful aura caused the wind and clouds to roll in the sky. Indeed, in front of Lin Ling, they really weren't qualified to be called geniuses. Even in the martial god world, not many people dared to call themselves geniuses in front of Lin Ling. Not good. What kind of swords are those? Did this guy take advantage of us? He actually dares to attack us. Burn his swords. Seeing the black ancient swords shooting over, the disciples were immediately enraged. In their opinion, with the two sect leaders here, Lin Ling didn't have the qualifications to be arrogant. Of course, after the anger, they were also a little panicked. However, where the 81 swords passed, the sky was immediately filled with blood. No disciple was able to block those swords. Then, corpses fell from the sky one after another, and blood rained down like rain. Of the disciples that came out to fight, over 90% had been killed in a single move. There were still several disciples that hadn't died. At this time, their complexions were incomparably pale. They remembered Lin Ling's words. If they didn't retreat in 3 breaths of time, they would all be exterminated. At the time, these words were arrogant. But now they were tyrannical. Looking at the unparalleled might of the swords, Yang Xiaotian and the others covered their mouths with their hands. Even Elder Chen's pupils widened. This was because he couldn't understand what those swords were. With such unparalleled might, Lin Ling was still a disciple? You beast, you are so heartless. What martial arts path do you speak of? Just wait for me to break your sword. In the sky, the elders of the 2 sects were stunned for a moment. Then they roared out in anger. Lin Ling wanted to cut off their sect's lineage. Moreover, he was killing their disciples right in front of them. How could they just stand by and watch? Flame fists. Boom. A 9th-level World King Realm Elder attacked. His hands formed complex seals as he punched out. Horrifying flames condensed into a giant fist, as if they would destroy all the swords. It's Elder Giant Flame. Great. Great, he's finally made a move. Haha. Seeing this, the remaining people of the 2 sects cheered again and again. They looked forward to seeing the Flame Fist destroy all the swords. This was because Elder Giant Flame's strength was at the peak of the 3 great sects. But the Flame Fist was like a mountain, and the 81 swords were like a swarm of locusts. They simply weren't on the same level. And most importantly, that Elder's talent was extremely formidable. He had a 9th-grade awakened divine body. Lin Ling absolutely could not block him. You have formidable talent, but you don't even have the ultimate martial path. So how can you talk about the flame path? Haha. However, on the ground, Lin Ling coldly spat out a few words, causing the earth to fall silent. Lin Ling faced the elder's attack. Not only did he not treat it seriously, but he actually reprimanded the elder for his flaws in his cultivation. In the eyes of others, you may be an elder, but in my eyes you are nothing but an ant. Haha. Azura sword array, go. Haha. Then, Lin Ling shouted out loud, his sword pointing to the heavens. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 81 swords turned into long snakes, as if they wanted to soar into the skies like eagles. And the giant flame fist also came smashing down. At this moment, countless people stopped breathing. They were extremely nervous, especially when the flame fist and the swords were about to collide. Their hearts leapt into their throats. Chapter 26-23. Half an hour. Rumble. However, the scene that everyone had imagined did not happen. Instead, the 81 black swords slashed through everything. The gigantic flaming fist was sliced into pieces and exploded, turning into incomparably resplendent fireworks that poured down onto the ground. Among the 81 swords, a black sword sliced through the air and split the elder into 2. Before he died, he could only watch as his lower body fell to the ground, his eyes wide open. When the elder's corpse floated down from the sky, the entire Yen Emperor sect fell into a deathly silence. This scene was completely different from what they had imagined. They thought that defeating the flaming fist, and not the ancient swords, would be enough to defeat them. Who would have thought that the swords would be so sharp that they would cut through the flames like tofu and kill the elder? Even the elders couldn't withstand a single blow from him? Is this still Lin Ling? Cries of surprise finally rang out like the waves of the sea. Especially the elders of the Yen Emperor sect. They were tongue-tied because in their hearts, Lin Ling was a disciple who stood aloof from worldly affairs and had no ambition to improve himself. They had even thought of removing Lin Ling from his position as a disciple many times. But now they realized that Lin Ling was even stronger than the elders. It was no wonder that Lin Ling didn't care about the elders' reprimand. With such strength, who would care? On the contrary, the elders who had reprimanded Lin Ling felt ashamed. While they were still in shock, Lin Ling had already walked up to the sky. The Shura sword flew around him, and his long robe fluttered in the wind as he killed his enemies. Every time he swung his sword, a disciple would die. Every time he swung his sword, an elder would die. Every step he took killed 10 people, and the elders were no exception. Invincible. Lin Ling is invincible. The disciples of the Yen Emperor sect exclaimed in shock. The battle in the sky was a one-sided suppression. They would never forget this scene for the rest of their lives. Is this the real Lin Ling? Even Yang Xiaotian felt as if she was seeing Lin Ling for the first time. Although she knew that Lin Ling was powerful, she still felt that it was a miracle when she saw Lin Ling easily suppress the two sects. Compared to their shock, the disciples of the other two sects were terrified. All of them had moved out, and none of them could stop Lin Ling. They could only be killed. They were arrogant before, and they were now filled with bitterness and regret. Of course, it was not because they had underestimated Lin Ling Yun. It was because the strength that Lin Ling was Yun. That's enough. At this moment, a furious roar finally rang out. It was the head of the Meiyu sect. Previously, he didn't care about Lin Ling at all. But now, he couldn't ignore him even if he wanted to. You're finally willing to look over here. Lin Ling also stopped and looked at the old man with a cold smile. Who are you? You're not from the Flame World. The Yu sect leader said coldly. Lin Ling didn't rely on the Flame Dao to kill them. Who I am is not important. Even who you are is not important. What's important is that the two of you must die today. Lin Ling said indifferently. I have to admit that your sword is not bad. Looks like it's your trump card. However, I want that sword. The other Yu stared at Lin Ling's sword Dao. His words stunned Lin Ling, and he smiled helplessly. At this moment, the other party didn't even think about his strength. Instead, they coveted his sword. It seemed like he had no choice but to kill these two elders. A level 3 true god and a level 4 true god. Not bad. I hope they can pique my interest. Lin Ling said. Haha, do you think that we didn't attack because we underestimated you? Young man, it's good to have fighting spirit, but don't underestimate your seniors. I know that you've already reached the first level of true god realm. One of the sect leaders sneered. What was ironic was that he didn't save his own sect before. His goal was to let his sect elders and disciples test out Lin Ling's strength. Of course, the result also surprised him greatly. True God stage? It must be fake. Hearing the headmaster's words, the crowd on the ground immediately cried out in alarm. Because True God Realm was the strongest power in Flame World. He is indeed at the True God Realm. At this moment, Flame Flash King said in a weak voice, but his face was full of surprise. This was because the Yen Emperor sect actually had a True God Realm expert. He didn't know about this at all. Also, he's very young. Yen Shan Emperor said again, causing the disciples of the three great sects to be stunned. Then, the shock in their eyes became even stronger. Yes, only now did they realize that Lin Ling was very young. Such a young True God Realm expert? This was simply beyond their imagination. This was the true number 1 genius of Flame World. Especially Zhang Gaofei, his face was extremely pale. Compared to Lin Ling, if he wasn't trash, what was he? What was ironic was that with his strength, he actually thought that Lin Ling was a cockroach. In fact, he was the cockroach. Little friend, be careful. The two of them are very cunning, and their realms are higher than yours. At this moment, Flame Flash King said again, Can you help me hold them off for 2 hours? No, 1 hour is fine. After that, my strength will recover and our chances of winning will increase greatly. After these words, the morale of the Yen Emperor sect's disciples was greatly boosted. As long as their sect leader recovered his strength, their Yen Emperor sect might win. On the other hand, the two sect leaders' faces were gloomy. If not for Lin Ling's arrival, Flame Flash King would definitely die. Unfortunately, Lin Ling ruined their plans. This meant that within 1 hour, they had to kill Lin Ling and then kill Flame Flash King. Otherwise, the situation would be unimaginable. Haha, Flame Flash King, right? During this period of time, I, Lin Ling, am indebted to your Yen Emperor sect for taking care of me. Only 1 hour? Hearing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but laugh. This made Flame Flash King frown. You can't hold them off for an hour? Then try your best to hold them off for 3 incense sticks time. Although it won't allow me to recover 30% of my strength, if I can recover 10%, we won't be trampled on. Flame Flash King thought that Lin Ling could only hold them off for 3 incense sticks time. Of course, even so, he was still shocked by Lin Ling's strength. Lin Ling, come on, you must hold them off for 3 incense sticks time. Hearing this, Yen Yeyu and the others on the ground also shouted. 3 incense sticks time. This was the most crucial moment. No need, Flame Flash King, you should rest well. Within 1 hour, you will see their corpses. Unfortunately, Lin Ling said indifferently. Previously, he said 1 hour because he wanted to kill the 2 sect leaders within 1 hour. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to experience his own strength, he could also do it within 3 incense sticks time. However, when his voice came out, not only the crowd, but even Flame Flash King was stunned. A level 1 true god fighting against 2 level 3 true gods. And he actually used 1 hour to kill them? This must be a joke. Chapter 26-24. 1 against 2. Haha, then I want to see just how you'll kill us in an hour. The Absolute Beginning Sect Master coldly said. Even Flameslash King couldn't block their joint attack. Lin Ling was only a first-stage world king. This was even more impossible. Let alone 3 incense sticks of time. Even an incense stick of time would be enough to end the battle. And the result would be Lin Ling dying in battle. As soon as he finished speaking, he immediately attacked. Denounce the chaos of the world, strengthen the walls, and clear the land of blood. A heroic voice floated out from his mouth. Although he was sinister, one couldn't deny that he was an ambitious and ruthless character of his generation. His talent was only useful against fire attribute martial artists. But his cultivation was at the 3rd stage of true divinity. It was enough to crush all. I want to see just how you'll block this. His voice filled the skies, causing the distant Flameslash King's complexion to change. He never imagined that against a junior like Lin Ling, the Absolute Beginning Sect Master would erupt with his full strength. This fellow was even more despicable than he had imagined. Good. However, facing the Absolute Beginning Sect Master's attack, Lin Ling wasn't afraid. Instead, his eyes blazed with the flames of war. After reaching the true divinity realm, he also wanted to experience the strength of a true divinity. A great saber suddenly appeared above Lin Ling's head. Flames blazed around it as it ruthlessly slashed down. Before the saber even landed, the originally shattered Flame Emperor sect couldn't withstand the pressure. It completely shattered, falling to the ground like an island. Lin Ling. Seeing this terrifying scene, Flame Yu couldn't help but shout out loud. Lin Ling could defeat disciples and sweep away elders. But what about the Absolute Beginning Sect Master? Bang! A deafening sound erupted. It was as if the saber had cut Lin Ling in half. Little brat, you're too inexperienced to fight us. The Absolute Beginning Sect Master roared, shaking his head in disdain. Too simple. He thought he would need 3 incense sticks of time, but in less than an incense stick of time, that brat had been defeated. He couldn't even withstand a single blow. Old ghost, when Li Xiaoyao swept through the world, you were still drinking milk. However, just as the Taichu sect leader finished speaking, a disdainful voice floated in the air. This caused the minds of countless people to tense up. Amidst the scorching flames in the sky, the young man stood there with both of his hands stretched out. He actually used both of his hands to catch the saber. And that was the all-out strike of a 3rd-stage world king. It could be said that if it was placed in the myriad worlds, one slash would be able to sever 10 worlds. Lin Ling didn't use his sword to block such a terrifying strike, but instead used his palm to catch it? How is this possible? The sect leader of the Taichu sect let out a cry of surprise. His pupils constricted. Die! He condensed all of his realm essence and ruthlessly slashed at Lin Ling. Is that all you've got? Why is your boundary river so weak? The dignified sect leader has really disappointed me. Unfortunately, Lin Ling was still holding the flaming saber with both hands, and he let out a roar. This scene could be called heroic. Even the Flame Flash King forgot to heal his injuries. He looked at Lin Ling in horror. What was going on? In fact, he didn't know that Lin Ling had already fused the boundary river of the 2 Dantians, and his cultivation was at the 2nd stage of true god realm. In addition, Lin Ling's ultimate martial path was stronger, so he was able to block that slash. I'll help you. At this time, the Plum Moon sect leader saw that the situation wasn't right, and he immediately attacked. Surging moon flames gushed out, turning into a pillar of light that shot towards Lin Ling from another direction. That kind of power was also terrifying, able to break through the 10 realms. Old Turtle May, you're despicable. Seeing this, the Flame Flash King couldn't help but curse. He was very surprised that Lin Ling could block the attack of one sect leader, but to block 2 of them, that was simply impossible. Haha, he can only blame himself for being too arrogant. Most importantly, the Plum Moon sect leader was at the 4th stage of World King realm. Seeing the 2 sect leaders attack, Lin Ling's expression turned serious. He knew that if he didn't use more powerful techniques, he wouldn't be able to win. You're not the only ones who know how to play with fire. The flaming coffin descended. At this moment, Lin Ling activated the universe change, and his cultivation increased by another level. The size of the boundary river was comparable to the third stage of true God realm. Multicolored flames also burst out in a shocking manner. You're not qualified to play with fire in front of me. Seeing that Lin Ling was also a fire attribute martial artist, the Taichu sect leader wasn't shocked, but happy instead. This was because his talent could restrain any fire attribute. Suddenly, specks of flames floated out, enveloping Lin Ling. What a strange talent. Unfortunately, you only have talent, but no strength. However, Lin Ling wasn't afraid at all. The flaming coffin behind him began to shake. The lid of the coffin seemed as if it would be pushed open at any moment. A terrifying aura filled the air. Although the Taichu sect leader's talent could restrain fire, his ultimate flame path was very weak. It could even be said that he didn't have it. In this flame world, no martial artist had the ultimate flame path. For example, their talent was a treasure sword and Lin Ling's was a wooden sword. But, in terms of swordsmanship, Lin Ling clearly surpassed the treasure sword wielder by several times. And although a wooden sword couldn't clash with a treasure sword, it could still kill. Thus, the Taichu sect leader's talent couldn't affect Lin Ling at all. His complexion changed. This was the first time he had seen such a freak. But at this time, the Plum Moon sect leader's attack arrived. One was at the third stage of World King Realm, and the other was at the fourth stage of World King Realm. How could Lin Ling block them? Would a miracle be born again? Rumble, rumble, rumble. However, it seemed that a miracle wouldn't be born again. After the Plum Moon sect leader attacked, a terrifying beam of flame shot towards Lin Ling, smashing him into the earth and into the earth's core. This time, Lin Ling had been defeated. The entire Flame Emperor sect was silent. The disciples all paled. Not even 3 incense sticks of time had passed. Had Lin Ling been defeated? But they didn't blame Lin Ling. This was because Lin Ling had blocked the attacks of 2 great sect leaders. Although he had been defeated, it was still a glorious defeat. Lin Ling. Yan Jingyu absent-mindedly watched this scene. Then he couldn't help but cry. This man had fought for the Flame Emperor sect. He was a hero, someone they would worship forever. But now he had also died. You said to walk forward and not look back. Why did you turn back? Why did you stop? Yan Jingyu cried out, causing many people's faces to darken. Their eyes were filled with despair. Unfortunately, only white flames shot up from the ground. A large hole appeared, spewing out flames like a volcano. Lin Ling had disappeared into that large hole. He had probably died. In fact, not to mention the Flame Emperor sect disciples, even the Flame Flash King believed that Lin Ling had died. This was because only he knew how powerful the 2 great sect leaders were when they joined forces. How long has it been? In the sky, the 2 great sect leaders had their hands behind their backs, their expressions proud. It shouldn't have been 3 incense sticks of time, the Taichu sect leader lightly said. Chapter 26-25. Walk out of the coffin. Despicable. Both of you are seniors, yet you're joining forces to suppress a junior? Where is your arrogance coming from? Seeing the arrogance of the 2 sect leaders, the disciples of the Yen Emperor sect scolded them. Unfortunately, the 2 sect leaders ignored them and became even more arrogant. Yen Shan Emperor, what else do you want to say? The Meiyu sect leader looked at Yen Shan Wang and said, Flame Flash King hadn't even recovered 10% of his strength. His face was gloomy, but he still shook his head resolutely. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit. There is nothing to say. What a pitiful person. You actually believed in a junior. You must be very disappointed now. Haha. You just saw hope, but it was snuffed out. Yenshan Emperor, you must be in a very bad mood. The Taichu sect leader laughed out loud. Looks like my strength isn't invincible in the 3rd level of true God realm. It's hard for me to win if they join hands. However, right at this moment, an indifferent voice resounded, and it caused the heavens and the earth to fall silent. This was because the sound was very strange. It came from the big hole in the ground. Could it be? At this moment, the eyes of the 2 sect leaders narrowed as they stared at the volcanic hole in the ground in disbelief. Could it be that Lin Ling was still alive? This was too heaven-defying. At this moment, a figure slowly floated out from the volcano. His long hair wildly danced in the wind, and his right hand was holding a giant flame coffin. At this moment, he gave off a strange and demonic aura. He was Lin Ling. This scene undoubtedly shocked the world once again. Especially when he came out with the coffin. Just how divine was that? How could you possibly block our joint attack? You have to know that even a third-level true god wouldn't be able to block our joint attack easily. The pupils of the Meiyu sect leader narrowed as he let out a cry of surprise. The arrogance on his face had completely disappeared. I've said it before, my world is not something you can understand. Lin Ling carried the coffin with one hand as he walked. His eyes were also looking at the people on the ground. Finally, his gaze landed on Yenyu. I've been practicing martial arts all my life. I've never regretted it, and I've never turned back. His voice was filled with boundless determination, representing Lin Ling's heart of martial arts. No matter what kind of strong enemy he encountered, no matter what kind of danger he faced, Lin Ling never looked back. He would only walk towards the path of martial arts, bravely moving forward. Yes. Yenyu wiped away the tears on his face and nodded heavily. What a strange junior. The sect master of the Taichu sect stared at the coffin in Lin Ling's hand and said with a serious expression, however, even if you can stop the two of us together once, can you stop us twice? Yan Shanking was the first to react. His previous happiness immediately disappeared, and what replaced it was a deep worry. That's right, Lin Ling didn't die this time, but it didn't mean that he could block the joint attack of two great powerhouses. However, Lin Ling's next sentence made him freeze on the spot. I don't think it's difficult. In fact, I still have two ways to kill you. I just wanted to test my limits before. In fact, when these words floated out, not only were the two sect leaders shocked, even everyone on the ground was shocked like a celestial being. Lin Ling has been fighting for so long, yet he still has more tricks up his sleeve? Could it be that he was just warming up? Facing the joint attack of two sect masters, he was just warming up? This guy was simply audacious. You're lying. The Meiyu sect leader shouted angrily. She didn't believe that such a terrifying cultivator of the first level of true god existed in this world. Everything was fake. Hearing this, Lin Ling laughed and didn't bother to explain. Instead, he looked at the coffin in his right hand, and his expression turned serious. That power was a double-edged sword. If he wasn't careful, his consciousness would be devoured. However, Lin Ling didn't believe this. The more double-edged the sword, the more he wanted to control it. Because on the other side of the double-edged sword, it was also an incomparably powerful and sharp blade. Flaming coffin, evil flame. Lin Ling mumbled to himself. Instantly, the coffin in his hand began to shake violently. Flames and eerie energy filled the air. It was terrifying. It was as if a terrifying ancient demon was hiding in the coffin. At this moment, many people looked at the mysterious flaming coffin. When they saw the flames coming out of the coffin, their mouths and tongues turned dry. Even the three sect masters felt the same way. Flames turning into fog. The Flame Flash King exclaimed in shock. At this moment, he couldn't understand Lin Ling at all. Boom. At the same time, the flaming coffin exploded. Endless flames filled the air and engulfed Lin Ling. What? Did he play with fire and get burned? The two sect masters were stunned. Could it be that Lin Ling had used a technique that he couldn't control and was burned to death by the flaming coffin? As time passed, the sky quietened down. Only the flames continued to burn. Something's not right. Let's attack immediately. The Taichu sect leader frowned. The flames in front of him gave him an ominous feeling. All right. Yes. The sect leader beside him nodded immediately. However, just as they were about to attack, the flames in front of them gradually dispersed, revealing a flaming coffin. The coffin remained motionless as it floated in the sky. The atmosphere became even more eerie. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the coffin let out a rumbling sound. The lid of the coffin slowly opened, and an arm covered in red scales slowly reached out from the coffin. The coffin was something that contained the dead. However, at this moment, someone had come out from the coffin. Could it be that something had awakened? That eerie scene caused everyone's faces to turn pale. Everything that happened today was something they had never seen before in their lives. Moreover, the one who caused all this was a young man with no reputation. Boom. Almost at the same time, the lid of the coffin exploded, and a figure shot out like a fiery god. The moment he landed, the heavens and earth fell silent. Countless flames were like smoke that actually lingered in the sky. Amidst them, a man with long red hair and black eyes stood silently in the sky. His body was covered in red scales, and wisps of evil aura emanated from him. All of you must die. Kill. One sentence was enough to make thousands of living beings submit to him. It was terrifying. Attack now. The Mayu sect leader shouted angrily when she saw the man who looked neither like a god nor a demon. She had a feeling that if she didn't attack now, they would all be finished. Moreover, if this stalemate continued, the mysterious atmosphere would give her immense pressure. She couldn't hold on any longer. Boom. Seeing this, the other sect leader hurriedly attacked as well. However, the red-haired man in the sky smiled and reached out with one hand. He planned to resist the combined attack of the two sect leaders. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying collision of power caused the flame world to shake. The sky was filled with multicolored flames exploding. This was a clash of flames. Is he dead? After attacking with all their might, the two sect leaders asked at the same time. They were very nervous and even very afraid. Chapter 26:26. Flame wheel destroying the world. That's all you got? A soft voice sounded at the same time, like thunder, causing the faces of the two sect leaders to turn pale. So scary. What did the young man do? Why did he become so strong after coming out of the coffin? Was he still a first-level true god? Thump, thump, thump. At this moment, the sound of a heartbeat came from the sky and earth. Look at the sky. At this moment, someone exclaimed and pointed to the sky. There, a huge heart appeared. The heart was surrounded by colorful flames. It was shocking, like the heart of a giant. True God martial soul. Yen Shan King opened his eyes wide and shouted in disbelief. Because even he did not realize the true God martial soul. Moreover, the mysterious heart gave him a sense of familiarity, causing him to roar, "Flame wheel!" In fact, the other two sect leaders also shouted, "Flame wheel!" Flame wheel was the highest secret of the flame world. It was said that it came from the ancient era and was an ancient artifact left behind after the flame god and the water god clashed. The three sect leaders went to see this ancient artifact, but they could not get close to it and could not understand its secrets. Now the secret appeared on the young man. Did the young man get the highest secret of the flame world? Are you surprised? That's why it's fun. At this time, the man in the sky let out a sinister laugh. It was very evil. He stretched out his right hand and raised it high, his palm facing the sky. Flame wheel. Then he shouted and circles of flame wheel bloomed. It was like a flower, but also like ripples on the water surface, and it started to gather. Gradually, it formed a huge fireball. There were circles of wheel marks on the surface of the fireball, revealing a terrifying aura. Looking from afar, the man was holding a fireball that was 100 times bigger than him. He was like a flame god standing in the sky, causing thousands of people to look up at him. When the fireball appeared, the entire flame world continued to explode. Many places started to burn without fire, and fire snakes shot into the sky. Such a terrifying power. Such a terrifying power. It caused the two sect leaders to turn pale and their bodies to tremble, because they seemed to have seen the flame ancestor. Enjoy your last moments. The man's smile became even more devilish as he threw out the fireball. Run. Needless to say, the two sect leaders had already run in two different directions. They were completely terrified. They would never have thought that Yen Shan Wang would not be the scariest person in the Yen Emperor sect, but a disciple from the Yen Emperor sect. Unfortunately, even though the Wheel of Flame was huge, its speed had reached the speed of 5 realms. Boom! The flame wheel caught up to one of them and exploded in the sky, shaking the heavens and earth. Boom! Boom! The entire flame world shattered, turning into islands that floated in the air. The moment the flame wheel appeared, it was terrifying. This was a move that could destroy the world. Also, this was a fireball thrown towards the sky. If it hit the ground, the flame world would no longer exist. Crackle! A dazzling light exploded in the sky, and the surging fluctuations caused the void to burn. This is the ancestor of the flame world. Yen Shan Wang was hit by a huge force and fell to the ground. At this moment, he sat on the ground and looked at the destruction in the sky in horror. Everyone else was the same. This move that could destroy the heavens and the earth was the most they had ever seen. It was certain that if the flame world was not destroyed hundreds, thousands, or even tens of thousands of years later, this battle would be remembered forever and recorded in the annals of history. God, if there was a god in the world, then this was an attack from a god. Old Mei is dead. This guy is so scary. On the other side, the Taichu sect leader's voice was trembling. At this moment, he was about to cry. How could the Yen Emperor sect have such a monstrous existence? He should not have come. He should not have come. He and the Mayu sect leader ran in different directions. Luckily, the mysterious man killed the Mayu sect leader first, allowing him to escape. He swore that he would never come to the Yen Emperor sect again. Unfortunately, he did not have this life. Thump! Thump! A huge heart suddenly appeared in front of him, hanging there and beating silently. Hee hee, you run pretty fast. An evil voice floated out. Just as the Taichu sect leader was about to get lucky, a red-haired man appeared in front of him and grabbed him with his hand. It was the flame god. No! The Taichu sect leader cried out unwillingly. He did not know that the flame god had the 5 realms speed. How could he escape? After that, the red-haired man appeared in the shattered sky of the Yen Emperor sect. He was holding the Taichu sect leader in his hand. At this moment, the Taichu sect leader was like a dead dog, unable to resist at all. This scene made the people of the Yen Emperor sect excited and shocked. Bang! A rumble was heard, and the Taichu sect leader's neck was crushed. It was as easy as killing an ant. 2 sect leaders were completely annihilated. The ground was dead silent. At this moment, everyone finally knew who the Flame World's god was. Hee hee, it seems like I haven't killed enough. However, the red-haired man in the sky also looked down, causing the crowd on the ground to be extremely terrified. If the godlike existence in the sky were to attack, they would only end up losing their lives. Go back! However, at this moment, a majestic and angry voice rang out. It actually came from the red-haired man's body. Time and space divine steel. After that, the voice roared again, filled with an imposing aura. I am not satisfied. Sooner or later, you will understand that only by killing everyone in the world can you become a god. The red-haired man let out a hideous cry. He held his head with both hands and looked like he was in extreme pain. Even the huge heart on top of his head was beating violently. However, at this moment, a flaming coffin appeared. The lid of the coffin opened and a strong suction force appeared, causing the huge heart to disappear into the coffin. At the same time, the red hair on the red-haired man's body quietly retreated and gradually turned into a pale-faced young man. Before an hour has passed, the enemy has been killed. The young man's gaze swept across the ground and finally uttered a sentence. This sentence immediately caused everyone to laugh excitedly. The young man seemed to have recovered. At least on the surface, the young man gave off a more realistic feeling. Lin Ling. Seeing this, Yen Yeu, Yang Xiaotian, Elder Chen and the others' eyes moistened. They were so excited that they almost danced. They never expected that the person who saved the Yen Emperor sect from the great calamity would be Lin Ling. Moreover, after the terrifying battle with the Yen ancestor, they didn't believe that such a powerful person was right beside them. Chapter 26-27. Sect Leader. He said that he wouldn't even need an hour to deal with the enemies. Looks like he's keeping his word. Yen Shan King muttered to himself. However, his gaze towards Lin Ling was filled with respect. He didn't expect Lin Ling to have the flame wheel. Moreover, the power that Lin Ling had displayed was very mysterious. He couldn't understand it at all. Looks like he came to our Yen Emperor sect for the flame wheel. Forget it, he saved everyone. I'll just give him the flame wheel. All right, Yen Shan King thought to himself. Of course, the power that Lin Ling had displayed was too terrifying. He had no choice but to give it to him. Of course, he looked towards the Yen Emperor sect and the entire flame world. He smiled bitterly. That guy's destructive power was too terrifying. If the battle had continued for a little longer, the entire flame world would have been destroyed by him. At this moment, Lin Ling had already landed on the ground. However, other than Yen Yeu and a few others, everyone looked at him with respect. They were afraid that Lin Ling would kill them if he wasn't happy. Obviously, they were completely afraid. Of course, Lin Ling didn't care about this. Instead, he felt the weakness in his body. Previously, he had used his full strength. This allowed him to understand his own strength better. With the fusion of 2 Dantians and the evil flame transformation, he could defeat a large number of Stage 3 true gods unless they joined forces. Once he unleashed his true god martial spirit, he could easily kill a Stage 4 true god. However, once he unleashed his true god martial spirit, he would have to face the danger of being devoured by the mysterious man. Until now, Lin Ling still didn't know if the mysterious man was the real evil flame god or a side effect of cultivating the evil flame transformation. However, Lin Ling was more inclined towards the latter. This was because the man didn't want to kill him. He only wanted to devour him. When the two merged into one, they seemed to have intelligence. However, they were actually acting according to principles. After that, Lin Ling put away his thoughts and looked towards the remaining people of the two sects. The two sect leaders are already dead. So let them go. Yen Shan King sensed Lin Ling's thoughts and immediately said, "If you don't remove the roots, there will be endless trouble in the future." However, Lin Ling said coldly. He finally knew why the Yen Emperor sect was facing such a calamity. It was because Yen Shan Wang was too soft-hearted. His sect was almost annihilated, but now he was pleading for mercy for his enemy. Spare us, spare us. Senior, we were forced to do this." At this moment, the remaining people all knelt down and kowtowed continuously. Hearing that, Yen Shan King couldn't help but feel pity for him. He was too indecisive. He really wasn't cut out to be a sect leader. Seeing this, Lin Ling sighed inwardly, then coldly said, "There is no such thing as being forced in this world. Perhaps you are indeed innocent, but since you have chosen this path, then you have to bear all the consequences. This is what it means to be a warrior, a man." Wasn't Lin Ling the same? Because he had exposed the space-time divine steel, he had been framed. Did someone sympathize with him at that time? Did someone let him go? No, he had to rely on himself. And this was the price. Everyone had the right to choose, but after making a choice, there was no choice but to face the price. He could only face it bravely. Even so, they are too weak to be a threat to the Yen Emperor sect. Although Yen Shan King was in awe of Lin Ling, for the sake of his principles, he still spoke. This made Lin Ling too lazy to talk nonsense. This was the Yen Emperor sect's own matter. He was just giving a suggestion. Of course, those suggestions were also from the bottom of his heart, based on Lin Ling's life experience. Kill them. But at this moment, a firm voice suddenly sounded. It was Yen Yeyu, which surprised Lin Ling. It seemed that after this incident, this little girl had grown up. Little Yeyu. Yen Shan King didn't expect his daughter to help outsiders refute him. "Father, you were wrong once. Do you want to be wrong a second time?" But Yen Yeyu looked at her father fearlessly. "In the past, the two sect leaders provoked you time and time again, but you let them go time and time again. In the end, the Yen Emperor sect was almost massacred. Don't you know where you were wrong? Do you know how painful it was for me to see my friends and family die on the way? And all of this was caused by your indecisiveness. Now you let them go again. This is cruel to your friends and family. Maybe you can live with your conscience, but how can you face the people who died? Also, if the Yen Emperor sect's disciples didn't die, how many people would they help? If they died, how many people would die because of them? These debts will be borne by you." Yen Yeyu said word by word, making Yen Shan King tremble. The Yen Emperor sect's disciples' faces also changed drastically. One had to admit that Yen Yeyu's words were very reasonable. "Little you have grown up." Yen Shan King suddenly felt that he had aged a lot, but he also felt gratified. In the past, you were timid, but because you were the eldest senior sister, you pretended to be strong. But now you are really strong, because your heart is strong. Hearing this, Yen Yeyu shook her head, but her eyes were fixed on Lin Ling. She knew who made her stronger. From now on, the Yen Emperor sect's sect leader is you, Yen Yeyu. Yen Shan King let out a long sigh, then shouted. He finally knew that he was just a martial artist, and did not have the style of a general. His daughter had a better view of the big picture than him, and was more suitable to be the sect leader. Suddenly, he looked at Lin Ling, and realized that Yen Yeyu's change seemed to be related to Lin Ling. Sect leader. At this moment, the Yen Emperor sect's disciples were all excited. With a strong sect leader, the Yen Emperor sect could go further. Lin Ling smiled and left quietly. Now was Yen Yeyu's time, and he did not want to take advantage of it. Moreover, he had achieved his goal of staying here, and it was time to go home. Lin Ling, you want to escape again. However, just as he moved, Yen Yeyu's voice rang out, making Lin Ling smile bitterly. Previously, you saved me and allowed me to inform my father. When we were grateful to you, you ran away. Now that you have saved the Yen Emperor sect, are you going to run away again? Looking at Lin Ling, Yen Yeyu's eyes were wet. Lin Ling was too low-key, and she felt indignant for Lin Ling. Sect leader. Then, under countless gazes, Yen Yeyu knelt down on one knee in front of Lin Ling, and her words shocked the entire Yen Emperor sect. Sect leader? Yen Yeyu called Lin Ling sect leader? Even Lin Ling was shocked. I think the most suitable person to be the Yen Emperor sect's sect leader is Lin Ling. Yen Yeyu raised her head and looked at the crowd, saying, Apart from saving the Yen Emperor sect, it's more his responsibility, strength, and strength. Little you. Yen Shan Emperor could not help but exclaim. However, after thinking about it, Lin Ling was indeed very suitable to be the sect leader. 1. Lin Ling was powerful. 2. Lin Ling's ambition was not in the Yen Emperor sect. All these showed that Lin Ling did not care about the Yen Emperor sect at all. Chapter 26-28. Evil Flame Sect Leader. They shouted in unison, piercing through the clouds. Lin Ling smiled bitterly, but his eyes flashed. It was normal for Yen Yeyu to recommend him to be the sect leader, but Yen Shan Emperor also agreed. This old man was cunning. To put it bluntly, he wanted to get on Lin Ling's good side. With Lin Ling's current strength, he could easily become the Lord of 10 realms, let alone a sect leader. I can be your sect leader, but there is a condition. Yen Emperor sect has to change its name. Lin Ling said. This. Yen Shan Emperor was stunned. Yen Emperor sect changing its name? Is it still Yen Emperor sect? Sure. Yen Yeyu agreed immediately and looked at her father. A name is just a name. As long as the person is still around, that is the most important thing. Yen Shan Emperor smiled bitterly. He didn't see it as clearly as his daughter. In that case, let me think of a name. Lin Ling rubbed his chin and smiled. Let's call it Evil Flame Sect. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Although this name gave people a feeling of evilness, it also made it even more domineering. There was fire in the evilness, and those who dared to violate it would be killed no matter how far they were. Okay, from now on, Yen Emperor Sect will be called Evil Flame Sect. Yen Yeyu was the first to stand up and smiled happily. The reason Lin Ling agreed to be the sect leader was because the flame world was located in the void of the universe. It was a good hiding place. If something happened, he could have his family and friends come here to hide. Also, Evil Flame Sect could become one of his hidden factions. In the future, when he went against the Heavenly Court, this force would be of great help. Since it is called Evil Flame Sect, I will teach you a fire attribute skill. Evil Flame Change. Lin Ling waved his right hand, and a colorful light shot towards Yen Jingyu. Yen Jingyu was delighted. She felt that after the light entered her mind, there were many things in her mind. Evil Flame 6 Change? Ultimate Flame Path. So this is the real flame path. What we cultivated before was just the flame path. Yen Jingyu's eyes flickered as if he had seen something new. Ultimate Flame Dao. Yen Shan King also exclaimed. This was a realm of Dao, but he had never touched it in his entire life. At this moment, he looked at Lin Ling seriously. He was even more convinced by Lin Ling. You people of Flame World are very talented. Unfortunately, you have treasures but no keys. With the ultimate flame path, you can use your talents. Lin Ling smiled faintly and said, Deputy Chief Yen Jingyu, do you have the confidence to make your disciple stronger? Yes. Yen Jingyu immediately raised his head. All right, I'll leave the Evil Flame Sect to you. Lin Ling said slowly. He was once again a hands-off boss. Of course, he had been a marshal, a commander, and even a realm lord in his life. But this was his first time being a sect master. This was Lin Ling's first sect in his life. Sect master, are you leaving? Yen Jingyu asked reluctantly when he saw Lin Ling's expression. Yes, I've said that I'm just a person who is in a hurry to go home. Now, I'm going home. However, I'll be back at any time. Yen Jingyu, after experiencing the calamity of the Yen Emperor sect, you have grown up. I believe that you can lead them better. Lin Ling turned and left. His blue-robed figure made everyone's eyes wet. Yen Jingyu nodded heavily. She almost blurted out something in her heart, but she held it back in the end. That sentence was, I like you. When they had gone through life and death together, she had already relied on that man. She was even infatuated with his calm demeanor. That man had left a huge shadow in her heart. His world is not something we can imagine. Let's leave it to fate. Yen Shan King said softly when he sensed his daughter's thoughts. He also knew that a man like the sect master would have many women in the world who liked him. It would not be easy for Yen Jingyu to climb up the social ladder. I know. However, he'll be back at any time. As long as I can see him, I'm already satisfied. Yen Jingyu smiled. Yen Shan King's eyes lit up. His daughter was stronger than he thought. Lin Ling, you must come back. Yang Xiaotian and Elder Chen said reluctantly. Lin Ling was their savior. Because of him, they had become an existence that could not be underestimated in the Evil Flame sect. Lin Ling waved his hand and left with his back to them. Lin Ling, if you leave, how will you find this place in the future? You should know that the void of the universe is constantly changing. It's harder to find than the myriad of worlds. Queen Qianji said, Time and space divine steel. Yes. Lin Ling smiled confidently. I've left my mark here. If I want to come back, I just need to go through the time and space divine steel. Yes. The time and space divine steel was the flame ancestor of the time and space divine steel. It had the power of space and time. In fact, Lin Ling already knew that the time and space divine steel had this ability. However, he was only a world king in the past and could not control it. Moreover, as his realm increased, the time and space divine steel's power would also surface. When he came to the land of flame wheels again, an enormous whirlpool appeared in front of him. Lin Ling looked back and then continued forward. This flame world had left a good impression on him. It was time to go home. Queen Qianji, you protected me last time when we passed through the huge whirlpool. This time I'll protect you. Yes. The two of them disappeared into the huge whirlpool. Rumble. After an unknown period of time, the chaos in the universe exploded. Then, a figure rushed out in a slightly disheveled state. This huge whirlpool is really fierce. The person who appeared was Lin Ling. His face was extremely pale. Although he had found the path of the whirlpool with the help of the 10,000 elephant demon eyes, the process was very dangerous. He did not want to face such a terrifying power again. I'm back. Lin Ling couldn't help but be overjoyed as he strode forward. This was the Western world. Although it was Lin Ling's first time here, he was eager to go home. Therefore, he went straight to the martial god world. After spending some time, he finally arrived at Qing province. Everyone in the 3 great academies of Qing province thought that Lin Ling was dead. Lin Ling appeared in First Ring City. Hearing the voices of the passers-by, he frowned. He did not know what happened to Yu and the others while he was away. However, at this moment, a commotion came from the front. A large number of people surrounded the street, pointing and talking. Lin Ling also looked over. There, he saw several disciples wearing the robes of the Resplendent Academy. They were defeated on the ground. Most importantly, those disciples were wearing the robes of the second generation. More importantly, Lin Ling knew those disciples. They were Falling Flowers, Flowing Water Sword, and the others. Not far from them, there were also disciples of the Resplendent Academy. They were the strongest second-generation disciples in the past, Genji. However, they lowered their heads and did not say a word, because the person who attacked them was a first-generation disciple from Third Ring City. A first-generation disciple was not someone they could fight against. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.